Welcome to this English speaking masterclass. Today you're going to practice speaking in English for 4 hours. This is an interactive class and you're going to practice speaking with me. You'll expand your vocabulary with common words and phrases I use every day, and you can too. And you'll learn correct grammar and natural pronunciation along the way. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. First, in this masterclass, you're going to learn vocabulary you can use when you're grocery shopping.
So let's first start with preparing. You need to prepare to go grocery shopping. And how can you do that? Well, you might say to someone in your home, I'm picking up groceries after work. I'm picking up groceries after work. I'll say this slowly and you can repeat after me. I'm picking up groceries after work. I'm picking up groceries after work. So notice here, we're using the phrasal verb pick up. I'm picking up groceries. In this sense, it means you're getting groceries. So you could equally say, I'm getting groceries after work. So you can get groceries, and then very casually, what natives often use is the phrasal verb pick up, because you're taking the groceries from one location to another. So that's pick up. And it's in the present continuous because it's taking place now. And notice groceries, this is our noun and there's an S on it. So it's plural. I'm picking up groceries after work. So when was the last time you got groceries? That's to get groceries conjugated in the past simple, or the last time you picked up groceries in the past simple. Put that in the comments. Now, you might say this to your spouse, your roommate. Do you have time? Do you have time to get groceries after work? Notice that fast connected speech. Do you have? Do you have? Do you have? Do you have time? Do you have time? Do you have? Do you have time? Do you have? Do you have time to get groceries after work? Do you have time to get groceries after work? So you need groceries. Of course, that's the umbrella term to represent food, beverages, eggs, milk, butter, vegetables, meat, cheese, fish, grain. All of those are groceries, of course. So you're asking if someone can do this. Do you have time to get groceries after work? Okay. So Melina asked, can I say I have to do groceries? No, I have to get groceries today because my fridge is completely empty. I have to get groceries. If you use do, you do shopping. So I have to do the grocery shopping. So I have to do shopping, but do what type of shopping? Grocery. No S because it's an adjective. I have to do grocery shopping after work, but it would be more common to say, I have to get groceries today. I have to get groceries today. Okay, how about this one? Can you check if we need butter? So if you're preparing a list, a grocery list, well, then you might ask someone in your house. Maybe you're at work and you're preparing the list. So you don't know if there's butter in the fridge. Can you check if we need butter? 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 So here the verb is to check. In this case, the person is going to go into the fridge or go into the cupboards and look if there is butter. They're going to verify, yes, we have butter. No, we don't have butter. Can you check if we need butter? So the person will reply and say, we need butter. Add butter to the list. Get butter. Or, no, we don't need butter. You don't have to get butter. You don't have to pick up butter. How about this time? This one. I'm making the list. Notice here the collocation is make. Make in the sense of prepare or create. So butter, milk, eggs. Of course, you can do it on your phone as well. It doesn't have to be a piece of paper. You would still make the list. And the list is the grocery list, the grocery list. So the items that you need. I'm making the list. Do we need butter? So again, you're asking the person. You can use, can you check if we need butter? You can use this exact sentence or just simply, do we need butter? Do we need butter? And you can replace butter with whatever you want. Just be careful because a lot of food items are uncountable. So you wouldn't say butters with an S because butter is uncountable. But let's say it's carrot. Well, that you would need the S. Do we need carrots? Do we need carrots? So be careful with your singular and plural. A lot of food items are uncountable. Azam said, "Yep, we're out of butter. Yep, we're out of butter. We're out of butter." So that's how you would say it like a native. We are the contraction. We are, were, very unstressed. Were. Out of, outa, we're outa, we're outa, we're outa, we're outa, we're outa. And then butter, those two T's will become a soft D, der, 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 butter, butter, butter. We're out of butter. We're out of butter. We're out of butter. Okay. Exactly, Alexander. Do we need to put butter on the list? Exactly. The grocery list. Excellent job. Exactly. We're out of butter. We're out of butter. Yeah, the shopping list, the grocery list. Exactly. How about this? So you're doing your list. This is what I say most days. Most days that I make my grocery list, we're basically out of everything. I don't know about you, but I basically get the same groceries every week. And I only go grocery shopping once or twice a week. So I have to get basically everything. Everything represents the food that is part of my regular diet. So if my husband asks me, what do we need? What groceries do we need? What do we need? I'll just say everything. We need everything. We're basically out of, that's what we just reviewed, outa. We're basically out of everything. Outa, out of everything. We're basically 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 out of everything. So put our normal items on the list. And out of, the meaning is that you have none left. So if I say this pen is out of ink, this pen is out of ink, it means I can't write because there is no ink left. How about this? Can you pick up some strawberries for the weekend? Can you pick up some strawberries for the weekend? So here's an example of a food item that is plural because you don't go to the grocery store and get one strawberry, right? So a lot of items, food items, are uncountable. A lot of them are also always plural because you don't buy one strawberry, one blueberry, one grape. So a lot of items are plural. Can you pick up? Pick up, we already talked about this. Listen to that pronunciation. Can you pick up? Pick up. So notice how the sounds divide. We have two sounds. Pick up. Pick up. Can you pick up? Can you pick up? Can you pick up some strawberries for the weekend? For the weekend. Can you pick up some strawberries for the weekend? So pick up just means get. Can you get some strawberries? You could say, can you buy? But we don't commonly use the verb buy. We usually just say get or pick up. But you could say buy because you are purchasing the strawberries. Can you pick up some strawberries for the weekend? Now, you may add for the and then or for and then whatever the specific meal is for dinner tonight, for lunch tomorrow, for our picnic on Sunday. So you can specify because maybe it's not normal to get strawberries. So the person might be like, why do we need strawberries? So you can add that. This is a good example of one lettuce that is uncountable. So here's a good question for everyone. And I have taught this in a lesson. So if you practice and review my lessons and you've watched this one, hopefully you know the answer. You can say, can you pick up two lettuce? You need to use a quantifier, a unit of measurement. Does anyone know what that unit of measurement is? For example, pieces of advice. Here are two pieces of advice for you. So, pieces is the unit of measurement. So, who knows what the unit of measurement for lettuce is? All right, we'll see if someone gets the answer. Mirik, exactly. Heads of lettuce. Can you pick up two heads of lettuce? Heads of lettuce. So if you want to be specific, because if you just say, can you pick up lettuce? Can you pick up some lettuce? Well, how much? So the lettuce that comes in one group, we refer to that as a head, a head. Can you pick up two heads of lettuce? Two heads of lettuce. Yeah, it's the balls. The balls of lettuce, we just call them heads. Exactly, exactly. How about this? We're low on protein bars. Do you want more? So, if you're going through the fridge, you're going through the cupboards, now maybe your son, your brother, your roommate eats protein bars. So you're asking them, do you want more? Do you want more? Do you want me to pick up to get more protein bars? Do you want more? We're low. What does that mean? We're low on. We're low on. We're low on your protein bars. So you could just say we're low on protein bars. Adding your, it just makes it sound like that one person is the only person in the household who eats protein bars. Do you want more? We're low on your protein bars. We're low on your protein bars. Do you want more? Do you want more? We're low on your protein bars. Do you want more? Yeah, almost out. That's a good one. Or a small amount, a small amount, a small amount. Yeah, this is a good, Alexander. We're about to run out of protein bars. So if you got a box of 20 protein bars, and now in that box, there are only two protein bars, it means you're almost at zero. So you can describe it as we're about to run out, we're almost at zero, or we're low. So the quantity is small. Either one works. You could also say, yeah, we're running low on protein bars. Yeah, low on does not mean out of, because if you say we're out of protein bars, we're out of your protein bars, it means zero. Out of means zero. Low means a small quantity of, and we're running out of also means a small quantity of. All right. Yeah, you could all we no longer have protein bars. You would say we're out of. We're out of protein bars. We're out of protein bars. Do you want more? Okay, so that's preparing. Now you have your grocery list, your shopping list. So you're on your way to your favorite store. This is not my favorite store. I do not like going to this store, mainly because of this on the screen, parking. So let's talk about parking. This is specific to a very busy grocery store, or if you go to a grocery store in a very busy part of town. Now, before we do, I have this free speaking guide for you. You can download it from my website, absolutely free. I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. So just enter your name and email, and this will be emailed you to you. So make sure you get it. And also, I want to make sure you're enjoying this lesson. You're learning new phrases, new vocabulary, new pronunciation, new grammar. Put yes, 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 like this lesson, subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new one. And let's keep going. And we will focus on parking. Parking. How about this one? The store's always crazy after work. The store is always crazy after work. The store's always crazy after work. The store is always crazy after work. What does this mean? If you say to someone, oh, Costco, that store is always crazy after work, or whatever name of busy grocery store you can think of. For me, it's Costco. The store is always crazy after work. Thank you so much, Ariel, for your generosity. I appreciate that. So the store's always crazy. In this context, crazy just means busy. So you can replace the word crazy with busy. The store's always busy after work. And it would mean very busy, very busy. So if someone asks you, how was your day? Oh, crazy, crazy. It sounds like your day was very busy or there was a lot of chaos, a lot of new things, changes, tasks. The store is always crazy after work. How about this one? It's impossible to find a spot. It's impossible to find a spot. So here, remember, this is the context of parking. So, into order to understand what the words mean, because vocabulary can have different meaning depending on context. You always have to ask yourself what the context is. So, in this case, the context is parking. It's impossible to find a spot. It is impossible. So you're just talking about the situation. It's impossible to find the spot. So notice that linking there to find. It's impossible. Impossible. So pa, that's the stress syllable. It's impossible to find a spot. To find a spot. It's impossible to find a spot. So, what do you say this about? Where you go grocery shopping, maybe even where you work, when you go downtown, when you go to a concert, what would you say this about? How about this one? I've been driving around for 10 minutes and I still can't find a spot. Now, if you're in a parking lot and you are in the process of parking, you don't have to say a parking spot because it's obvious. Native speakers, we don't give information if it's obvious. If there's no context at all, then you can say a parking spot. I paid, I just found a great parking spot and it was really cheap as well. So if there's no context, you can say parking spot. If the context is obvious, there's no need to do it. And you can just say a spot, a spot. And this is the location where you're available to park. I've been driving around. What's the verb tense here? I've been driving around for 10 minutes. Is the present perfect continuous because the action started in the past and it continues until now. We use for, the word for, duration of time. We use since, a starting point in time. I've been driving around for 10 minutes and I still can't find a spot. Okay. Yes, a spot represents a place to park. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Parking is challenging here. Exactly. You can say that. How about this? So, if you're shopping with someone, there's someone else in the car with you, and you're driving, you're looking around, and you ask the person, do you see any spots? Do you see any spots? Do you see any spots? Do you see any? Notice that connection with a y. See any. Do you see any spots? 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 And then hopefully the person says, yes, there's one. There's a spot. Or no, I can't find any spots. How about this one? Or hopefully they say, I think there's a spot at the end of this row. I think there's a spot at the end of this row. They're saying, I think, to express some uncertainty. Because if you just say, there's a spot at the end of this row, it sounds certain. I don't know about you, but I have done this many times where I thought there was a spot. So I quickly go down the row, but then it's just a smaller car. And then once I get closer, there's a car there, but I couldn't see it because there was a larger car blocking the view. So it looked like an empty spot, but it wasn't. So you can add on, I think, to express some uncertainty. I think I think there's a spot at the end of this row. Okay, so when you are in a parking lot, there are going to be rows, and you usually snake around. So notice that you snake around. You go up one row, you come down one row, you go up one row, you come down one row, just like a snake. So you snake around trying to find a spot. And what you're driving on is called a row in a parking lot. In a parking lot specifically, we call those rows. At the end of this row, at the end of this row. I think there's a spot at the end of this row. Or you can say to your friend, that car's backing out. Quick, grab it. That car's backing out. What does that mean? Phrasal verbs have different meanings depending on context. Remember, so you always have to think about context. This is the context of parking. That car's backing out. That car is backing out. So this apostrophe S represents the verb to be, is the auxiliary verb for the present continuous. The phrasal verb is to back out. You back out of a spot, which is this. That is to back out. So when you exit your parking spot, okay? So to exit, you back out, back out. That car's backing out. Quick, grab it. grab it. So what does that mean? Grab it. In this context, it means get that spot. Take the spot. Grab the spot. So you can use grab as an informal way of saying get or take. Quick, grab it, grab it. It being the spot, the parking spot. Okay, yeah, exactly. The car is leaving. The car is leaving. That car is leaving. And you could absolutely say that. That car's leaving. Quick, grab it. It being the parking spot. Okay. So that's a good one for sure. And yes, Ariel, you can absolutely say that car is, you just need the verb to be because pulling is in the present continuous. So you need that auxiliary verb. That car is pulling out. So exactly the same thing, exiting, leaving the parking spot. You can use pull out or back out. Yeah, grab it, grab it, grab it. That's a good one. Okay, how about this? Ooh, oh, this spot's a little too tight. That car's over the line. Hmm. Have you ever said this? Have you ever been the car that's over the line? What does that mean in the context of parking? This spot's a little too tight. So if you're describing a parking spot as tight, it means that it's small. So you don't feel like you have enough room to safely or easily get into the spot. And then remember, you also have to open your car door and leave the spot, and then the other person has to open their car door and get into their car. So if you don't feel like there's enough room, you can say, this spot's a little too tight, a little too tight. You could also say too small, simply small. Native speakers often use tight, tight. This spot's a little too tight. And what's the reason why? Maybe you just have a very large car and two very large cars are parked on either side. That could definitely be why. But in this sense, that car, so the one beside you, that car's over the line. What does that mean? So in a parking lot, you have rows, right? Rows. And then within each row, there are multiple spaces where you park your car. Now, there are two lines, usually white or yellow, that tell you to enter. And that is your spot, right? But then if this is the line and then there's a car, the tire is on the line or even a little over the line, that's what this means. So the car beside you is taking up some of your spot. Yeah, you could also say that car is too close. So too close to the line or too close to my parking spot for sure. All right. So this spot's a little too tight. That car's over the line. That car's over the line. So you finally found a parking spot and then you leave your car and it's time to go shopping. Helena, instead of complaining about parking, buy a smaller car. That's some good advice for you. Buy a smaller car. Actually, I just bought a Tesla, so I don't have to worry about parking because Tesla parks for me and Tesla can park anywhere. It doesn't matter if the spot is tiny, Tesla can get in it. So you can buy a smaller car or buy a Tesla. Okay, let's keep going. Manuel, please close the mirrors when you are in the spot. When you are in the spot, what kind of car doesn't do that automatically? the cars automatically close the mirrors. I don't think maybe 10 years ago you had to do that. Not today. Okay. Yeah, you can say there are too many cars. Too many cars. Exactly. You can say that. There are too many cars. So you can say the parking lot is crazy. The parking lot is packed. Packed is another great word as well. We generally don't say parking place. It's a spot. You can say, is there a place to park? But what you're asking about is there a spot? Okay, so you can use place, but place is not a replacement to the word spot. Spot. So, is there a parking spot? Are there any places to park? Yeah, packed. So you can say the store is packed, the parking lot is packed. Okay, so let's move on to shopping. Shopping. So you're in the grocery store now. Maybe you can say to the person, "Excuse me, where can I find protein bars?" Excuse me. So this is how you get the person's attention. So you don't say pardon me in North American English. It sounds too formal. You just say excuse me. Excuse me. And you don't say anything before that. You don't say hello or anything. You just say excuse me. Excuse me. And then the person will look at you. And as long as you have their attention, then you just ask your question. Okay. Excuse me, where can I find protein bars? So, where can I find whatever item you want? So, instead of saying, where are the protein bars? You can absolutely say that. In English, there's many different ways to say the exact same thing. If you say, where are the protein bars? That's great. Where can I find the protein bars? That's great as well. Okay, so this is one option. Helena answered. Protein bars are usually near the cashier. Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's where all the chocolate bars and the impulse items are. Exactly. Mohammed, I'm going to shopping. How can we correct this? Because it's not correct now, but there are different ways we could correct this. Does anyone know? So I'm going to shopping. What do we know? What do we need here? Okay, you can say, I'm going shopping without to. Exactly. Exactly. Nice correction. I'm going shopping. I'm going shopping. Or you can go to a location. So you can say, I'm going to the store. I'm going to the grocery store. So you could say that as well. I'm going to the store. I'm going to the grocery store. I'm going to the grocery store. Do you need anything? I'm going shopping. I'm going grocery shopping. So if you just say I'm going shopping and the person has no other context, they will not assume you're getting groceries. They will think maybe you're just going to the mall for clothes. They won't know. They'll ask you, "Oh, what are you getting?" "Oh, just groceries." So I'm going grocery shopping. I'm going grocery shopping. You can say that as well. Okay. Yeah, Manuel, exactly. It's universal. It's an easy one for you. All right. I'm going to the grocery store. You can't say I'm going to grocery. Definitely not. I'm going to the grocery store. I'm going grocery shopping. I'm going shopping. Yeah, I'm going shopping. Exactly. You can go to the market, exactly, because the market is a location. You go to a location. You go plus activity. I'm going shopping. Shopping is an activity. I'm going shopping. I'm going to a location. I'm going to the market. I'm shopping downtown. Exactly. Nicely done. Okay, so the question, excuse me, where can I find protein bars? And then the person replies, the protein bars are in aisle 5 by the cereal. So remember in a parking lot, we talked about rows. Okay, so you have a space, which is the parking lot, and then you have rows. And within the rows, there are many spots where you can park. In a grocery store, they don't use the word row, they use the word aisle. And notice the pronunciation. Don't look at the spelling because the spelling and pronunciation are different. So close your eyes and listen to the pronunciation. Aisle, aisle. So I-O, aisle, aisle. So in a grocery store, it's called an aisle. In a parking lot, it's called a row. The protein bars are in aisle 5. So located in aisle 5. Now, hopefully there's a number for these aisles. Now they're giving you more information because maybe the aisle is very long. So cereal, that could be something that's easy to find. So you just find the cereal and then you look close to the cereal and you should see the protein bars. So by the cereal, by represents close, close to. By the cereal, located near the cereal. Okay. Yes, exactly. On a plane, when you enter the plane, when you board and you find your seat, you walk up the aisle. And they usually say, please clear the aisles quickly so other passengers can board because there's always that one person standing in the aisle and then other people can't get by. All right. Yeah, it sounds exactly the same, but context would make it obvious that they're not talking about I will. The protein bars are in aisle 5. I'm in a grocery store. I understand that we're talking about the location of something. So there's nothing about the context to suggest it's I will. Nothing about context. But if you had zero context and I just opened my mouth and said I'll, you wouldn't know what I'm saying because context makes it obvious. We wouldn't use an ordinal number. You would use aisle and then just the number 5. Aisle 5. It's row, row, row. ROW, row. That's for a parking lot. ROW. Yeah, exactly, Manuel. Raw means it is not cooked, and row is a line. Think of it on Excel. You have rows and you have columns on an Excel, and that's the row, the row. I'm so glad you love those videos, Elena. And this is definitely C1, C2, what you're learning here, because this is the way natives speak in the real world. Yeah, aisle is difficult for sure. I think what Manuel said, if you just think of it like the word aisle, I will is really the same pronunciation. So just imagine you're saying I will as a contraction. I'll, I'll. Okay. How about this? Again, excuse me. There's no other way to get someone's attention. Just excuse me, excuse me. And now, here's the question. Do you carry good life protein bars? So remember context, you're in a grocery store and you get the attention of a cashier or someone who works at the grocery store, and you ask them, you does not represent the person that you're talking to, it represents the store that you're in. Do you carry? So, in this context, carry means, is this a product the store regularly sells? Okay. So, is this the product the store regularly sells? Do you carry Good Life protein bars? So, now it's not just protein bars, it's a specific brand. So, it's like asking, do you carry Coca Cola? Uh, w- that's the specific brand, right? Do you carry? Do you carry? Do you carry? You could absolutely say, do you have? Do you have? Do you have Good Life protein bars? Carry is very commonly used in a grocery store to understand if this store regularly has this product. Because if you buy these every week, you want to know that you can go to this store and you can buy this brand of protein bars every week from this store. Excuse me, do you carry Good Life protein bars? Is carry only for brands? That's a good question. Do you carry grapes? Hmm. I would probably say, I don't know if there's a rule that says, yes, you must only use it with brands, but just from what I would use, I would say yes, because if it were just a general product, do you carry protein bars? Do you have protein? Ooh, that's a good question. I would say you can use it if it's an item that you're not sure if the store has. So let's say you enter a grocery store, okay? You know a grocery store has milk. So you're not gonna say, do you carry milk? But let's say you go into a small convenience store, or let's say you go into a bakery, somewhere that doesn't normally have milk. In that context, I would say, do you carry milk? So in this case, I don't need a specific brand. I just want to know if you regularly have this item. So thank you for your question, because as I think about it, yes, you can use carry for any item, but we generally only use it if we're not sure if it's a regular item the store has. Good question. And if you want to be safe, you can absolutely just use have. Do you have Good Life protein bars? Do you have milk? You can absolutely say that. Yes, Good Life is a brand that I made up. I don't know if this exists. Don't eat protein bars. For some reason, it's just the first thing I thought of. Okay. Not provide. Provide's not the right answer. So stores don't provide milk to you, they sell milk to you. So you would use, do you carry? Do you have? Okay. Yeah, absolutely. You can just say, do you have protein bars? Just be familiar that definitely native speakers will use carry for sure. Okay. How about this one? So the person replies, okay? So you ask someone and they reply and say, let me check. I'll be right back. Let me check. Let me check. Notice that pronunciation. Let me check. Let me check. Let me check. Let me check. They might say something for like, I'm not too sure. I don't know. Let me check. Let me check. Check means verify. We saw this when one of the questions or one of the phrases was, can you check if we have butter or can you check if we need butter? Something like that. So check means verify. So they're going to go either look on their computer system or ask someone, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Let me check. I'll be right back. Let me check. I'll be right back. Oh, right. Yeah, you can use let me see. Let me see. I'll be right back. You can say that as well. Exactly. Let me, let me check. Let me check. Let me check. Okay, how about this? So the person goes and checks. They check their computer system and then they come right back. Hopefully, you didn't wait long. And they say, sorry, we stopped carrying that brand last month. We now carry Shark protein bars. Again, I made up this name. Shark is a brand name in this situation. Okay, sorry. So they're just expressing their sympathy or expressing their apologies because they don't have this item. It's just a polite thing to do. Sorry, we stopped and then your verb in ing. We stopped carrying that brand last month. Remember the brand was Good Life protein bars. Again, not a real brand. Maybe it is, I don't know. We stopped carrying that brand last month. So, what does this mean? We stopped carrying that brand last month. It means they used to. We used to carry that brand. So, if they said we used to carry that brand, you know they no longer do because used to do something is when it was a routine action in the past, but no longer now. Okay. So you could say that as well. We stopped carrying that brand last month. We now carry Shark protein bars. So they're giving you an alternative. They're letting you know what they routinely have available. We now carry Shark protein bars. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So from now on, it's no longer available because we stopped carrying it. Exactly. Well done. All right. Okay. Awesome job. So now you finally found some protein bars. Maybe you're going to give these Shark protein bars a shot, which means you're going to try them and see if you like them. And if they taste good, you'll keep buying them. So you can give them a shot. Give Shark protein bars a shot. So you got your protein bars, your milk, your eggs, your butter, your strawberries for the weekend. And now it's time to check out. To check out. Okay? So of course, checking out is when you purchase your items. You pay for your items and then you leave the store. So these are some phrases that I commonly hear when I'm checking out. Because when I check out, I don't really say a lot as as the customer. I don't say a lot. I just receive instructions, and then I answer a few questions that they ask me. So here are the questions or the statements that I commonly hear. Okay. So if I'm standing in line let's say over here. And then this person usually will wave as well and say, I can help the next person. And then they're trying to make eye contact so you know to come over. I can help the next person. I can help the next person. I can help the next person. So, this is what I hear the person working at the store say to get my attention. So, I bring my items to her. Okay. I can help the next person. I hear that a lot. Um, I don't hear assist. It's just help. I can help the next person. I would say 99% of the time it would be help. Okay, yeah, eye contact. I can help the next person, and then you try to make eye contact. You try to get your eyes to meet. When you check out yourself, it's self checkout. Self checkout. Okay. Or maybe I go up to this person because, oh, there's nobody in line. There's nobody in line. So these, if there's other people, they would be called lines. So I would say, oh, this line is really long. Let me go to this one because there's nobody in line. But then maybe she says, sorry, this lane is closed. But you can go to number 5. Now, isn't this the a new expression? Because we saw row in a parking lot, aisle in a grocery store, aisle on a plane, but lane. So we call these lanes. Lane, lane, okay? But then the people are in line. So you can say there's a long line at lane 5. There's a long line at lane 5. Yeah, queue, queue. But in North America, we don't use queue. We say line, line. We understand what it means, but we just don't really use it. We say line. So, yeah, in British English, they say queue. In North America, we say line. No, queue is not lane. The lane is just the area where you check out. Okay, line represents the number of people waiting for a lane, for a lane. So this is lane 1, lane 2, lane 3. And there are 5 people in line at lane 5. So there's a long line at lane 5. So I'm going to go to lane 1 because there is only one person in line. Okay. Yeah. Lane is the place to pay. Okay. But then this person says, sorry, this lane is closed, which means she's not helping anyone. But you can go to number 5. So she's telling me to go to number 5. And then maybe the person says, I can help you. I can help you. I can help you at lane 5. I can help you at lane 5. Okay. Sorry, this lane is closed, but you can go to number 5. Now, maybe you try to get in the self checkout. That's where you scan your own items. You are the cashier. I actually love doing self checkout. It's fun, but only with a small number of items. But maybe they say the self checkout is broken, is broken. So if it's broken, it means it's not functioning. It's not operational. You can't use it. The self checkout is broken. The self checkout is broken. Okay. So you can't use it. You have to go to one of the lanes, one of the lanes. Or you get in lane 1 because you see there is only one person in line at lane 1. And then she looks in your cart and she sees all these items, it's piled high, and she says, "Sorry, this is the express lane. The max is 10 items." So she's telling you that you have too many items. You can't check out here. This is the express lane. I always go to the express lane, even if I have a few more items, just a few, not too many, maybe like 10 or 13 or 12 or 13 if the max is 10. But my husband always gets mad. He always counts the items and he will not go if it's more than 10 items. I always go. Sorry, this is the express lane. The max, which represents maximum, the max is 10 items. The max is 10 items. Okay, so you can check out here. Yeah, you can say this lane is okay. It depends. This lane is closed. That is not the same as out of order. You can say that self checkout is out of order, which means broken. Out of order, out of service. That means it is not functional, okay? But closed simply means it is it's the opposite of open. But it's because there's hours of operation. That one person stopped working at 4 o'clock, or she's going on a 30-minute break to have lunch. Okay. So it's not because it is broken, it's because the hours of operation are done. Okay. Okay. Oh, I'm so glad that you're loving this class. It's fun. It's fun learning these real phrases. These are phrases I use every day, exactly the way a native speaker would say them, exactly the way I would say them. Okay. Now, so remember I said when I'm checking out, I don't say a lot. I usually just follow directions. Oh, I can't go here. Oh, she wants me to go over there. I can't go here. I follow directions. I follow instructions and I answer questions. So, one of the questions I always answer, the first thing they say when you put your items, do you need any bags? 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 Okay. Now, in North America, 90% of places charge you for bags. So they will charge 5 cents, 10 cents per bag. And sometimes they don't even have paper bags. You have to buy a reusable bag that may be like $1 or more. But I always bring my own bags. I have for many, many years, even before they started charging for bags. Okay. All right. So you'll just answer this with a yes or no. You won't talk a lot during checkout. Now, sometimes they always ask, do you want the meat in a separate bag? I don't know why, but do you want the meat in a separate bag? This is a question I get asked a lot. Do you want the meat in a separate bag? Now, keep in mind, in North America, meat is a more general term. If you buy like chicken or pork, they'll probably still just say meat. Fish, they would not call meat, they would say fish. So they would say, do you want the fish? Do you want the meat in a separate bag? Yeah, and separate means different. So if your strawberries, your protein bars are going in this bag, a separate means a new bag, a different bag. So in this bag there is only meat. Okay, so it's just a common question I'm asked. Do you want the meat in a separate bag? And here's another question. So at the end, they finish scanning all the questions and they might ask you something about points or rewards, or if you're a member or if you have a loyalty card. So they might say, do you collect points? Do you collect points? And then they're asking if you have a membership card, and most likely it's on your phone anyway. So you can think of your scene card or a rewards card. Do you collect points? Do you collect points? And then you just say yes, and then you show them your card and then they'll scan it. Do you collect points? Or they might, this is an alternative. So they'll either say, do you collect points? Or do you have a rewards card? Now, instead of the word rewards, they'll probably use the name of their card. So, do you have a scene card? Do you have a, I don't know a lot of different card names. Okay. So let's say there's just a different one. Do you have a triangle card? And triangle is the name of the card. And it's probably something like if you spend $100, you get $1 worth of points. And then you can use those points. Okay. Do you have a rewards card? Now, they often ask me, would you like to redeem your points? In this case, redeem is a replacement to use. So if you redeem your points, it means 50, I have 500 points and I want to use my 500 points to pay for groceries, which is like $3, let's say. So I saved $3 on groceries. So if I redeem my points, I use 500 points to pay for groceries and I save $3 or something like that. Would you like to redeem your points? They may use the verb use. Would you like to use your points? But redeem is very common. Would you like to redeem your points? Would you like to redeem your points? Yeah. Or would you like to use your points? Exactly. And then I don't know why, but they often ask, how would you like to pay? I don't know why they need to know this, but I guess they need to push a button first. How would you like to pay? How would you like to pay? How would you like to pay? And then you just say debit, credit, cash. Those are your three options.
Amazing job. You have already learned a lot. Now let's move on to when you're at a market.
So you could get to the market and then you go up and someone says to you, would you like a sample of our homemade goat cheese? Notice that. Would you like a sample? So, a sample is a small taste or a small test of whatever they're selling for free. So, you can get a sample of a perfume. And of course, you're not tasting the perfume, but with food, a sample is a small bite or a small sip if it were a drink. A sample. Now, they can provide samples in grocery stores and other places as well. And sometimes when you order an item, they might include some samples of other products to get you to try that product and then potentially buy it in the future. So let's review the pronunciation. I'll say it slowly and then you can repeat after me. Would you like a sample of our homemade goat cheese? Now I'll say it quickly. Would you like a sample of our homemade goat cheese? Would you like a sample? Would you? Would you? So notice that j sound. Would you? Would you like a? Like a? Would you like a? Would you like a sample? So sample is a noun. It's something. Yeah, in this case, hello to Brazil, Maria. Nice to have you here. And in this case, yes, you could say, would you like a piece of our homemade goat cheese? You absolutely can use that. Now, that only applies to this picture, whereas other samples, it may not be a piece. But in this context, absolutely, you can say that. Would you like a sample of our homemade goat cheese? So homemade is an adjective and it means of course they made it themselves. Okay, how about this one? So you're looking at the products in the market and then someone says to you, "This honey is made right here in town." This honey is made right here in town. So they're letting you know it's local, local. This honey, so you can replace the word honey with whatever product you want, even the goat cheese in our past example. This honey, this honey, this honey is. So hold up that is and then add is. This honey is made right here in town, right here in town. So in town just represents the specific location you're in. So repeat after me. This honey is made right here in town. Yeah, you could say this honey is produced. If you use produce instead of made, you have to have the ed form because it's to be produced, because it's the passive voice, it's not the active voice. So this honey is produced right here in town. You could say that. Okay, let's try our next one. Oh, so you go up to one of these stalls and then you can ask them a question. So you might ask for a specific type of something, or you can ask about the ingredients. So in this case, you ask the vendor. The vendor is the person selling the products. You could say vendor. You could also say seller, the person selling the products. Vendor, seller. Do you have any sugar-free jam? So, very easy question form. Do you have any jam? Do you have any jam? But what type of jam? So, you're adding sugar-free as an adjective. Do you have any sugar-free jam? Do you have any? Do you have any? So hold on that v sound on have and take it to your next word. Have any? Have any? Do you have any? Do you have any? Repeat after me. Do you have any? Do you have any sugar-free jam? And then they'll say, yes, we do, and show you the options, or say, no, we don't. Sorry, no, we don't. And again, maybe show you the options as well. Okay, Tamara asked, can a producer be a vendor? Yeah, absolutely. So a producer is the person who produces the product. A vendor is the person who sells the product. So you can absolutely produce a product and then also sell that product. So yes, a producer can be a vendor. And generally at markets, that is one of the main reasons why people like them, because you're buying directly from the producer. You're buying from the person who made the product, who produced it. That's not always the case, but that is one of the benefits of going to a market. Okay, so maybe this lady who could be a vendor and who could also be a producer offers you a sample of her jam, her strawberry jam. Okay. And then you taste it, and then you say to this lady, the strawberry jam tastes just like my grandmother's. Just like my grandmother's. That could be probably one of the best compliments you could give someone. Now, of course, we have this idea that our grandmothers make the best food and the best products. You could replace grandmother with mothers or aunts or some other person as well. It tastes just like my grandmother's. Now, notice there's an apostrophe S after grandmother. So when you say it in the plural, or when you say it in spoken English, it will sound like you're just saying the plural, grandmothers, grandmothers. Now, there's an apostrophe S because it's my grandmother's jam, my grandmother's strawberry jam. But because that's obvious based on the context, you don't need to include the word jam or strawberry jam. But you absolutely need the apostrophe S, because you can't say tastes just like my grandmother. That would be weird. It's like saying you tasted your grandmother and the jam tastes like your grandmother. No, that doesn't make any sense. That's weird. So you absolutely need that apostrophe S. Otherwise, it will sound weird, like I said. Okay, now let's focus on the pronunciation. The strawberry jam, the strawberry jam, the strawberry jam tastes. Don't forget that S. Sometimes students don't pronounce the S, but that makes it sound like a grammar mistake because it needs that S to show as third person singular. The strawberry jam tastes just like my grandmother's with an S at the end. The strawberry jam tastes just like my grandmother's. Now, of course, you can say something, wow, the strawberry jam is delicious, is amazing. You can absolutely just say something like that. This is just a very nice compliment. Okay, Coma said the strawberry jam tastes as tasty as my grandmother's. Yes, you can absolutely use as tasty as. So, as adjective as. Now, in English, we don't like using the same word, even if it is not exactly the same. I personally wouldn't say taste as tasty as. I would say, wow, this strawberry jam is as tasty as my grandmother's. I would use the verb to be if you were using tasty as an adjective to avoid that double taste as tasty. Taste as tasty. It sounds repetitive, and native speakers, we generally don't like doing that. Okay. All right. Yeah, I like this, Natalia. Nothing can beat it. Nothing can beat my grandmother's strawberry jam. Nothing can beat my grandmother's strawberry jam. And I use this example because I bought some raspberry jam at a farmer's market on the weekend. I don't know why I didn't use raspberry jam, but I bought some raspberry jam and I tasted it and it was delicious. But I said, "Oh, it's good, but it's not as good as my grandmother's," because nothing will be, right? You have that memory of your grandmother's food and nothing can beat it. Nothing can beat it. Absolutely. Okay. How about this one? So you ask one of the vendors, do you have this spread in a smaller side? So spread just represents something, some sort of product that you spread on bread or on toast. It could be a jam, it could be a sauce, it could be a preserve. There are many different things it could be. It could be like a garlic aioli. It could be many different things. So spread is just a general term to refer to any product that you spread. So, assuming one of these products is a spread. Okay. So the verb is to spread. So when you have butter or jam and you go like this over your bread, you're spreading the butter and you want to do that evenly. You're spreading the butter or spreading the jam. So you see this container, this jar, but it's quite large. So you want to ask for it in a smaller size. In a smaller size. Or if you see a small one, you could ask for a larger size. Do you have this spread in a smaller size? Do you have this jam, this honey, this butter, whatever else it is? Do you have this spread in a smaller size? In a smaller size. So in a size and then smaller or larger. You could do the same thing if you're buying a shirt. Do you have this shirt in a smaller size? Do you have these shoes in a larger size? So you can use that as well. Do you have this spread in a smaller size? In a. So notice that pronunciation of in a. Repeat after me. In a, in a, in a. Do you have this spread in a smaller size? Do you have this spread? Do you? So notice how fast that do is. Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you have this? Do you have this? Repeat after me. Do you have this? Do you have this spread in a smaller size? And then they'll say yes or no. They'll show you the options, they'll show you what they have. Yeah, Kim, you can absolutely say, do you have this shirt in green? You don't like it in blue or red. Do you have this shirt in green? Now with clothes, you can be specific. Do you have this shirt in a small? In a small, in a large, in a size 8, in a size 12, whatever your size is. Do you have these shoes in a size 8 or whatever it is, in a size? And then you have the number of the size, in a size 8, in a size 42, whatever it is. Lokua said, "Excuse me, could you show me the smaller size?" Yeah, you could absolutely say that. Excuse me is a nice way to get the person's attention, especially since this man is not looking toward the public, toward the buyer. So if you say excuse me, he's going to hear you and turn around so you get his attention. So that's a very nice thing to add. Excuse me. Now, if you say, "Could you show me the smaller size?" you're assuming he has a smaller size. And that's absolutely fine to do that. Okay. Yeah. And you can ask them, "Is this spread homemade?" Excellent question. Is this spread homemade? Is this spread homemade? Very nice question. Absolutely. So you can't add with yes, I have. You can use the auxiliary verb do. Okay. Do you have? So the answer would be yes, I do. Yes, I do. And with do, you don't have to add an object after it. So yes, I do. Now, if you use have, you have to provide the object. Yes, I have one. Yes, I have a smaller size. Yes, I have this spread in a smaller size would be the fullest form, which a native speaker would most likely not use. So if you want to use the short form, it's yes, I do. Yes, I do, because it's do you have? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Okay. All right. Awesome. Let's try another one. Oh, so someone asks, so someone Helena asks, "Is this spread homemade? Is this spread homemade?" Excellent question, Helena. Or you could ask the person, "Did you make these candles yourself? Did you make these candles yourself?" So the sign actually says Jen's homemade candles. I found these images on Google Images. I don't know who this person is. Jen's homemade candles. So maybe you don't know the person behind the counter. Is that Jen? Is that the Jen who made these candles? So you could ask, "Did you make these candles yourself?" Now, are these candles homemade? In this case, you wouldn't ask that question because it says homemade candles. So you already know the answer, but just because it says homemade, you don't know if the person you're talking to is the person who made the candles. So that's where this question comes in. Did you make these candles yourself? Now, you don't have to add yourself. You could just say, "Did you make these candles?" But it's very common to use yourself if you want to emphasize that it was the person's effort. So if you're serving someone a cake and they're like, "Wow, this cake is really delicious," you could say, "I made it myself. I made it myself." So you can just say, "I made it. I made it." But it's more common for a native speaker to add on the reflexive pronoun. So if it's she made it herself. My daughter made it herself. My husband made it himself. Okay, so it has to be reflexive. All right. Thank you very much for your generosity, Pyro Japan. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're enjoying the lesson. Okay. You don't need to add by yourself. Did you make these candles by yourself? So grammatically, that's correct, but it changes the meaning slightly. Um, by yourself means without the assistance of anyone else. Okay, so in a classroom setting, they might say, you have to complete this assignment by yourself. So without the assistance of your fellow classmates. For example. So it's not exactly the same question. It doesn't have the same meaning. About creating something, we generally just say, did you make these candles, this cake, this jewelry, whatever it is, yourself? Okay. Good question, though. All right. Yeah, exactly. Is the candle homemade? So you could pick one up. Is the candle homemade? And then Ma answered, yes, I made these candles myself. Very nice. That's exactly the right answer. All right. Let's keep going. Yes. Do you make these candles yourself? Yeah, okay. So you could say that, Mulaska. So notice my question is in the past simple because I'm referring to the candles on the table that I can see. And it's a completed past action because the candles are already made. Right. But if you ask, do you make these candles yourself? That is absolutely correct. And it makes sense because you're just asking about a routine behavior because these are not the only candles that Jen is ever going to make in her life. She's going to make candles tomorrow and the next day and next month and next year because that's her job, it seems. So you can absolutely use the present simple to talk about the routine nature of this activity. Yeah, great job. Okay, let's keep going. And Haley said, how did you make these candles yourself? Yeah. How did you make these candles? And in this case, you don't even need yourself in this cake, in this sentence. Just, oh, how did you make these candles? Can you explain the process? How did you make these candles? Yeah, you can absolutely say that. Okay. Let's keep going. How about this one. So you get to this stall and you're admiring one of these baskets. And then the seller, the vendor, the producer comes up and says to you, all of these baskets are woven by hand. All of these baskets are woven by hand. Okay, so here woven comes from the verb to weave. That's just a verb to represent how you make this specific item. So you sew. Okay, so sew is one verb. You can crochet, you can knit. Those are different verbs for different types of activities. So to weave is a form of creating products, to weave. Now, here it's to be woven, because you're not talking about the person doing the action, you're talking about the the action being completed. So all of these baskets are woven. Notice that pronunciation, woven, woven. So woven, 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 Woven by hand. So by hand means that a machine was not used. Okay. So you can, I can say I made this shirt, but I made this shirt by hand sounds like I did not use a sewing machine. I sewed it by hand. Okay. So that's why they're using by hand to let you know a machine was not used. So when you see this bag, you're like, wow, you admire it even more because of the amount of effort that went into producing it. Yeah, these baskets are pieces of art. What a beautiful thing to say. And that would definitely be a compliment to the seller, to the producer. And then you could ask, "Wow, did you make these baskets yourself? Did you make these baskets yourself?" Because all of these baskets are woven by hand. You don't know who did the action, who created this basket. So you can ask, "Wow, did you?" And then they might say, "Oh no, no, I didn't make them." And then they'll of course tell you who did make them. Oh, Francisco, I'm so glad you're joining for your first live class. This is the same time I go live every week, so hopefully you can join again in the future. All right. Yeah. And this is why people go to markets to enjoy the works of art produced by people by hand. Very nice. Yeah, you can absolutely say, "Did you make these candles on your own?" On your own. You can say that. I didn't make these candles. So this candle singular or these candles, I didn't make these candles, but my brother, it's incomplete. What do we need to say? But my brother, who knows? But my brother did. Did. You have to include that auxiliary verb. I didn't make these candles, but my brother did. Now, if you don't want to use did, you can say, but my brother made them. So you can't just say, but my brother made. That's incomplete because you make something. But my brother made them, but my brother did. Okay, so those are your two options. I know these baskets are beautiful. I hope I see them soon at a market because I'd love a basket like this. They are just so beautiful. Exactly. I didn't make them, I just sell them. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Oh, do you have this kind of basket in a smaller size? What a great question, Asm. Yes, in a smaller size, in a larger size, in purple. So you might ask about a solid color. Do you have this kind of basket in purple, in green, in blue, whatever your preference is? Very nice. Yes. No, my sister did. Exactly. Exactly. No, my sister did. Yes. Well, thank you, Egypt. I love Egypt. Egypt is one of those places in my mind that I just absolutely want to see one day. Okay, let's keep going. How about this one? This jewelry is really beautiful. Do you have a website? Okay, so you're talking to the person. Maybe you've already asked her if she makes the jewelry herself, if it's handmade. And then you want to know, do you have a website? Maybe you don't want to buy anything today, but you want to buy something in the future, or you want to share it with your friends, send it to your mother, your sister, whoever else. This jewelry is beautiful. Now, notice it's this jewelry. That's because jewelry is uncountable. So we don't have it in the plural form. If you want to use the plural form, you can talk about individual pieces. So earrings can be plural, rings can be plural, necklaces, bracelets, all of the items can be plural. So you can say, wow, these necklaces are beautiful. These. But if you're using jewelry, which is the term to refer to everything, it's always singular. So that's why we have this. This jewelry is really beautiful. Do you have a website? Do you have a website? Do you have a website? And then she'll explain where you can buy her items on her website or wherever else. Yes, exactly. You want to see all the items available on the website. Exactly. Yeah, you can see pieces of jewelry. Absolutely, Francisco. So if you want to make jewelry plural, you don't make the word jewelry, you add a quantifier, a unit of measurement. So, how do you measure jewelry? You use the word piece. So, this piece of jewelry is one item. So, one ring, one set of earrings, because earrings come in a pair. So, you would say set of earrings, okay, or pair of earrings. You could say that as well. So the word piece is what is plural. These pieces, the plural, these pieces of jewelry. So jewelry is still singular and you use of. Now your verb is are, because your verb is being conjugated with pieces. These pieces of jewelry are beautiful. Now, if you're looking at jewelry, you don't even have to say jewelry. You could just say, wow, these pieces are beautiful. These pieces are beautiful. And then it's just obvious that you're talking about jewelry because you're looking at it right there. Jewelry and rural are the hardest words to pronounce. I agree with you there. Squirrel, maybe you can add squirrel to your list. It's kind of like rural. Even I don't like saying rural. It's just like a very harsh sound in your mouth. Okay. Yes, absolutely. You can ask about the price. How much is this jewelry? Now, just remember that jewelry is an umbrella term, which means it represents every item. And most likely, there are different prices for different items. It's not like every item on the table is $20, although that's possible. That is possible. So you might be more specific and say, how much is this necklace or this ring or this item? You can use the word item, or this piece of jewelry. So you may be more specific because you would be asking about everything, but you're assuming there's only one price, which likely isn't the case. Okay. All right, everyone. Ivan, excellent question. Now, the awe doesn't belong to jewelry. The awe belongs to peace. So I want to buy a piece of jewelry, because you can't say I want to buy a jewelry. You cannot say that. So you would say, I'm just putting it in the chat. I want to buy a piece of jewelry, but the article a belongs to piece. It does not belong to jewelry. So you would not say, I want to buy a jewelry. No, that's grammatically incorrect. I want to buy some jewelry. I want to buy a ring, a pair of earrings, for example. Okay. How much is this ring? Exactly. How much is this ring? Exactly. It's uncountable. Very nice. Yes. Jewelry is uncountable because it's a term that refers to all the pieces, but the term jewelry is uncountable. All right. Great questions, everyone. Let's keep going. Oh, my favorite part of a market is the baked goods. So that's an umbrella term as well. Baked goods. Baked goods refers to things you find in a bakery: bread, muffins, cookies, croissants. Oh, that's my weak spot. Okay, so baked goods, this is an example. A muffin is an example. So maybe this person, you're walking by and you say, "Ooh, that muffin looks delicious." And then she says, "These muffins were baked fresh this morning." So she's trying to tempt you to buy one of the muffins. She's a good salesperson. These muffins, because there's more than one, so it's plural, these muffins were baked fresh. So to be baked. And then fresh means that you can say these muffins were baked this morning. Okay. Adding the word fresh just emphasizes that they were made from scratch. So it wasn't a frozen muffin, it wasn't pre-made and then warmed up this morning. It turned from the dough to the solid form this morning. So we use this a lot with coffee as well. You could say this coffee was made fresh at 8 a.m. and that was a short while ago. So you know the coffee is fresh. So that's a common thing to say. Can you make muffins on my birthday? Well, I don't know how to make anything. So you don't want me to make muffins, but I can buy you some muffins. I'm good at that. I'm good at buying muffins. So sure, I'll buy you some muffins on your birthday. Okay. And maybe they're giving some samples. So they have one muffin and then they just chop it up or tear it up into smaller pieces. And then you have a little toothpick or something. And then you can try a sample of this delicious muffin. All right. Yes, exactly. I love fresh baked muffins. Very nice. Very nice. Ooh, what kind of flavors do you have? Exactly. It looks like there's a lot of different flavors. Very nice. Oh, thank you so much, Koma. That's so sweet of you. And I really appreciate you showing up. I recognize your name. You always participate. And I love that. Thank you so much. Sure, I'll buy you a lot of muffins. I know a spot that makes amazing croissants, and I would love to buy everyone one of their croissants. Okay. How about this? So, on one of these signs, I don't know if you can read this, it's pretty small, but the first one is chocolate chip muffins. So there's a double O, it's chocolate chip muffins. They wrote chocolate twice, but notice they just wrote CHOC period. That's the short form for chocolate because chocolate's a long word and it won't fit on this little card. So they shortened it to just chocolate. But when I see it, I'm still going to say the full word. So I wouldn't say chalk chip muffin. Even though I see it's CHOC, I'm going to pronounce it as chocolate chip muffins. So they're emphasizing how much chocolate is in there. Oh, and thank you so much, Francisco. Okay, so chocolate chip muffins. Then we have corn muffins. Have you ever had a corn muffin? And then banana nut muffin and a bran muffin. So, which one would you choose? There are four options, and you can just put your number 1, 2, 3, 4, or you can say the name. Now, I don't really like sweet things. I like more savory things. So I would go for the corn muffin because I think it would be more savory, which savory is not sweet. It's more salty, salty or things like that, buttery, salty. That would be savory. But maybe I don't like nuts or I'm allergic to nuts. So I can ask, are the corn muffins? Now I'm using the plural muffins because I'm talking about the category muffins. So are the corn muffins nut free? Nut free. So is something or are with a plural something, and then nut free, sugar free, gluten free, lactose free, dairy free, whatever you don't want in that muffin. Okay. Jorge wants the banana nut muffin. Sylvia wants the chocolate chip. Banana nut, that sounds pretty good for sure. Mahim wants the corn muffin, banana nut. Ooh, awesome. Yeah, exactly. You might say because I'm allergic, because then they know, oh, this is serious. So I have to make sure there are no nuts. Chocolate chip. All right, everyone. Yeah, I think so. I don't know what a corn muffin is, but I would say it's made from corn flour. You're not going to have probably chunks of corn in it. I would say it's made from corn flour. Okay. Awesome, everyone. Ooh. You've had corn muffins before? I've had corn bread, which is very common in the southern US, like Texas, Kentucky, Alabama. Cornbread is very common and it's delicious. Okay, so that could be a great question. Now, you see these beautiful pies. Now, you either want to buy a whole pie, but you only want to eat one piece, or you want to buy more than one pie and save them for later. So you could ask the person, how well do these pies freeze? How well do these pies freeze? Now, notice I'm not asking, do these pies freeze? If you say how well, you're assuming that the verb can take place. So if I say, how well can you play tennis? I'm assuming you can play tennis, but I don't know the degree. Are you a beginner, intermediate, advanced? So if I say how well, I'm asking about your level. Now, in this case, how well do these pies freeze? I want to know after I take them out of the freezer. So, freeze is because I want to preserve them in the freezer for a longer period of time, maybe 1 month, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks. So, a longer period of time. Now, the person might say, oh, they freeze really well. They can stay in your freezer up to 3 months, for example. Or they might say, actually, they don't freeze very well because there's so much butter in them. So the crust may become soggy, for example. So they may give you a reason why you shouldn't freeze them. So, how well do these pies freeze? And you can use this for any item that you buy at the market: cookies, muffins, even some spread, soup, things like that. Okay. So, you would say, excellent job, Helena. And for an activity that you actually do, I'm playing tennis right now, if you didn't know. For an activity that you do, you can say, I'm great at playing tennis. But for this case, I wouldn't say the pies are great at freezing because it sounds like the pies are doing the action, like they have some role in the action, but that's not the case. So you would say they freeze really well. Or you could use a different adjective, but I would use they and then I would use the verb freeze. They freeze really well. Okay, good question. Or I'm glad you mentioned that. Ah, I was waiting for someone to ask about this. Soggy. So imagine you have a piece of bread and you accidentally spill some water on it. Okay. And you pick up that piece of bread and it's covered in water. What's the texture of the bread? Soggy. That's the texture of the bread. So it's when something goes from a more solid state to a more liquid state. So pie, when you eat it fresh, the crust is flaky and maybe even a little crusty in a positive way. But when you freeze it, it retains moisture. So water will enter the pie when you put it in the freezer. So just like you spilling that piece of, or you spilling your water on that piece of bread, you can imagine the same thing happening to your pie. So you don't want your pie to be soggy. That's not a positive adjective to describe food. Okay. Yeah, exactly. It retains moisture. Mhm. Soggy. Soggy. It's like I'm in a spelling competition. Ah, exactly. So you could buy it now and then you save it for a special occasion like Thanksgiving. I may make them now and freeze them, not have them freeze and freeze them and freeze them. Exactly. Nicely done. All right. Okay, how about this? Oh, wow. I've never had beet pie before. What's it like? What's it like? Did you notice the names of these pies? The middle one is beet. I have personally never seen a beet pie before. Have you? So I can't read all of these. On the far left, we have blueberry. And then we have something pecan. I don't know what the first word is. I can't read this one. Something cream, beet, carrot, coconut. I don't think I've ever heard of carrot and coconut being together. And sweet corn custard. Another corn, sweet corn custard. This must be from the southern US. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So if you say, what's it like? It means, what does it taste like? What does it taste like? So, what's it like? What's beet pie like? And then the person will describe it and say, well, it's quite sweet. And I don't know how to describe beet pie because I've never had beet pie, but beets are very sweet. So you might say it's quite sweet. I don't know. I don't know how to describe beet pie. That's all I got. It's quite sweet. Okay. Yes, beet is a vegetable. It's a delicious vegetable. I love beets. I've never had it in a pie though. Okay. So that you can ask this with anything. What's it like? What's it like? You can say, the carrot coconut pie sounds interesting. What's it like? What's it like? So, what does it taste like? And then they'll describe it. Use adjectives to describe food and they'll just describe it. Yeah, we just call it beet. So we call them beets, beets, beets. You would say, what does it taste like? Not how does it taste? How does it taste? What does it taste like? What does it taste like? Number two is lemon, berry, peach. Wow, you could read that? Awesome. Awesome job. Thank you. Oh, that's peach. I said pecan. Ah, lemon, berry, peach. Good job. You have good eyes. I need to go for an eye exam, apparently. Okay, let's keep going. So you want to buy some bread, and then you ask them, can you slice the bread for me? Can you slice the bread for me? Now, if you have the bread in your hands, or you just said, I'll have the sourdough, and it's obvious, then you can use it. You can always use it as the replacement when it's obvious. Can you slice the bread for me? Can you slice it? Slice it. So notice if you use it and you have slice, you would link them together. Slice it. Slice it. Can you slice it for me? Can you slice it for me? So if they have a loaf of bread, loaf is the quantifier, the unit of measurement, loaf of bread. Now, it can be sliced or unsliced. And sliced is when you have the individual pieces. Unsliced, you have to take off a piece. I always ask for it sliced because I freeze it. I freeze it. I freeze the bread because I don't eat a lot of bread and it will go bad if I don't freeze it. Okay, how about this? So you're at this bread vendor and you say, "Oh, I'll have a loaf of sourdough." You could just say, "I'll have the sourdough bread." Now, you can use the quantifier and say a loaf. A represents one. I'll have a loaf of sourdough. Sourdough is a type of bread. It's the artisan bread that's the most common to find at farmers markets, at least in my local area. It could be totally different where you are. And then they say, "Oh, sorry, we're sold out of sourdough." This happens a lot. My favorite bakery always sells out of sourdough. So we are sold out of, which means they sold all the sourdough. They have zero loaves left. Okay. Oh, sorry, we're sold out of sourdough. We're sold out of sourdough. But we have rye left. Ugh, nobody wants rye bread. Rye is a type of bread that isn't as popular as sourdough. So, of course, they have rye bread because it's not the best. Okay, so they might say that even when you're buying your favorite muffins. Oh, sorry, we sold out of the corn muffins, but we have beet muffins left. And left means remaining. It means they still have beet muffins or corn muffins, whatever. Yeah. Oh, sourdough. It's just a type of bread. You'll have to Google it. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's a type of bread. If someone else wants to try to explain what sourdough is, feel free. Okay, I like this. I will try the rye one then. I like that. I like how you added then at the end. That's a very natural thing to do. Definitely sounds like a native. Rye is a type of bread. It's made from rye, which is a grain. So you have wheat, which is a grain, and then you have rye, which is a type of grain. Rye bread is good. Um, it's it's a little denser. It's more flavorful. It has more of a distinct flavor. But rye bread is good. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Sourdough, it does. It has a sour taste to it, a mild sour taste to it. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you for explaining that. So sourdough is made from they ferment part of the dough before they make the entire loaf. So you get a little bit of a sour taste, but it's not like drinking vinegar or anything like that. Nothing like that. Yeah, cornbread is so delicious. I agree. Exactly. Rye is a type of grain. Yeah. Okay. So this might happen where they say, we're sold out of, we're sold out of, we're sold out of. Yes, natural fermentation. Look at you. Okay, so another part of markets is the food, the prepared food. So, not just taking jam to eat at home or a loaf of bread to eat at home, it's buying prepared food and eating it there. So, you see this food truck. That's what this is called, a food truck. And they sell like fast food, but it's usually more artisan. They might make certain products themselves, for example. So there's this big line of people in line to buy whatever this food truck sells. So you get to the back of the line, and then you say, this line is crazy. The food must be good. The food must be good. This line is crazy. So describing it as crazy here, it represents that it's long, it's longer than all the other food trucks, for example. It's longer than you expect. So this line is crazy. This line is crazy. The food must be good. Must be good. So notice must is our modal, and then you have your base verb. This line is crazy. The food must be good. The food must be good. All right. Yeah, you could use a different adjective. It must be delicious. It must be so delicious. You can absolutely use that as well. This line is packed, or this food truck's line is packed. So food needs to come before line because you're using it as an adjective. Yeah. The food must be delicious. Yeah, their specialty is awesome. I love that. I love that. Their specialty is awesome. So their specialty, maybe they're famous for grilled cheese sandwiches made with homemade sourdough and homemade cheese. Maybe that's their specialty. So their specialty is what they're known for. Okay. Now, you finally get your food and you say, that pita was definitely worth the wait. So whatever they sell at this food truck, so maybe it was that sourdough grilled cheese with fresh goat cheese, or in this case, it was a pita. That pita was definitely worth the wait. Worth the wait. So it means the time spent was positive because the benefit or the final result was positive and more than the amount of time you waited. That pita was definitely worth the wait. That pita was definitely worth the wait. Okay, so to be worth and then something, the wait. You could say that pita was definitely worth it. You could use it as well. And then if you wanted to use a verb, you would have to use the ing form. So you would say that pita was definitely worth waiting for. Waiting for. So if you want to use wait as a verb, you need the ing. That pita was definitely worth waiting for. It was delicious. It was mouthwatering. It was the best pita I've ever had.
You're doing so great. We've talked a lot about food, so let's change topics and you'll learn important medical vocabulary you can use every day.
Let's start with at the doctor's office. Here's an appointment, or here's a phrase you can say when you walk in the door, you go up to the reception. You can say, I have an appointment at 3 p.m. with Dr. Sharma. I'll say it again. I have an appointment at 3 p.m. with Dr. Sharma. Now, notice for vocabulary, in a medical context, we use the word appointment. You wouldn't say meeting. If you say, I have a meeting at 3 p.m. with Dr. Sharma, it sounds like you're there for a business purpose. Maybe you'll talk about expanding the medical facilities. Maybe you'll try to sell the doctor certain medical equipment or sell the doctor your marketing services. So it is not for you to be a patient. So appointment is the word when you are seeing the doctor for treatment. And the verb is have. I have an appointment. Notice that pronunciation, an appointment. So an, the article, needs to combine with appointment. An appointment. So notice it sounds like the name Anna, Anna, Anna. But then you have to continue on. An appointment. An appointment. Repeat after me. An appointment. An appointment at. Now, when I combine appointment with my next word, I'm not going to pronounce that T because it forces me to take a pause. I have an appointment at 3 p.m. with Dr. Sharma. Now, grammatically, you can change the order and you can say, I have an appointment with Dr. Sharma at 3 p.m. So you can change those two parts. So here is something you can say. Now I'll say it fast and you can repeat after me. I have an appointment at 3 p.m. with Dr. Sharma. So share in the comments, who is your next appointment with? We use this vocabulary if you're getting your hair done, your nails done, you're getting a massage, you have a medical appointment. Those are the situations where you can use the word appointment. So who is your next appointment with? All right. And hello to all my amazing students watching live. Hello, Horatio, Jacob, King's English Universe. Sounds interesting. Stella from Brazil, Pavlov. Hello, hello, all the way to Czech Republic, Hidaki. And yes, I speak and therefore teach American English. Oh, is this your doctor's name? This was my childhood doctor's name. So when I thought of a doctor, this is the first name I thought of because this was my childhood doctor. Okay. All right. Anna has an appointment with her hairdresser next week. Very nice. I'm so glad you are finding it helpful and welcome, welcome. I love having new students join. Hello, Rose from Haiti. Okay, how about this one? Who is saying this? You're in the context of going to the doctor's and you say you have an appointment, and then someone replies and says this. Who says this to you? Please have a seat in the waiting room. I'll say it again. Please have a seat in the waiting room. What verb tense is this? Think about that as well. Put that in the comments. Hello, hello, all the way from Orlando. I'm so glad you love it. Okay, this is an interesting one. I have an appointment with my tattoo. So a tattoo is the actual design on your skin, but the person who does the design, generally we call them artists. So your tattoo artist I'm not sure. There could be some other language. I don't have any tattoos, but I'm pretty sure it's tattoo artist. Okay, so I have an appointment. You don't have an appointment with the design. You have an appointment with the person who's considered an artist, a tattoo artist. Okay, but great job practicing. And if this were last week, you would change your verb tense, of course, and say, I had an appointment with my tattoo artist last week to discuss my new design or whatever it might be. And yes, of course, this is the imperative, imperative. And yes, absolutely, Merrick. The receptionist, the name of the person who would say this, receptionist would say this as an instruction to you. Please have a seat in the waiting room. Now, the receptionist could just say, have a seat in the waiting room. Adding please sounds more friendly. Please have a seat in the waiting room. You could also add please at the end. Have a seat in the waiting room, please. Okay, let's talk about the pronunciation. Please have a. So notice you hear that v on the A. Have a. Repeat that. Have a. Have a. Have a seat. Have a seat. Have a seat. Seat in the waiting room. Now, what's the waiting room? Obviously, the room where you wait. So that's what they call that. Where you're like, where is the doctor? My appointment was 20 minutes ago. Ugh. That's the waiting room. And yes, I forgot to mention dentist. Actually, I have an appointment with my dentist next week. So thank you for reminding me, Ruslan. Yeah, exactly. I have a job interview on Thursday at 11 a.m. First of all, good luck to you. I'm sure you'll do great. And great job. I have a job interview. So, in this context, you wouldn't say appointment and you wouldn't even say meeting. If someone asks you, oh, do you have a meeting? You would say, no, I have a job interview. So, it's an interview. So, excellent sentence structure. Yeah, for my pet. Exactly. So, an appointment with the vet for your pet. Excellent. Excellent. Very nicely done. Oh, Paslak said, I have a headache today. So, perhaps I should go to the doctor. Go to the doctor. Exactly. I would say the doctor. Now, the doctor is a specific doctor. For me, it's Dr. Sharma. So for you, the doctor is the one you normally go to. If you say a doctor, it means any doctor, whoever is available. And it doesn't matter who that person is. Oh, right. Please have a seat in the waiting room. Please have a seat in the waiting room. Please have a seat in the waiting room. Notice how there's generally a natural pause. Please have a seat in the waiting room because it divides. So you can absolutely add pauses to your speech to divide ideas. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, this one. So this could be a continuation of this one. Please have a seat in the waiting room. The doctor will see you shortly. The doctor will see you shortly. Now, grammatically, you know why it's the doctor because I just explained we use the for a specific doctor. If the receptionist said, Dr. Sharma will see you shortly, so the receptionist could absolutely use the name of the doctor, then you wouldn't say the Dr. Sharma, of course, because we don't use the with proper nouns. And saying Dr. Sharma, that is now a proper noun, so no article. The doctor, Dr. Sharma. Now, if the receptionist said, a doctor will see you shortly, that's possible. Maybe in this hospital or this facility, this clinic, who there are many doctors available, and just whoever is finished first will see you. So you're not assigned a specific doctor for making things run faster. Just whoever is available goes into the room first. So that could be a doctor will see you shortly because you don't know which doctor. So it is possible that they would say that as well. Okay. The doctor will see you in no time. Yes, absolutely. Keep in mind, if the receptionist said this to me, I expect the doctor to be there very quickly. So saying something will happen in no time makes it sound like the doctor is going to be there very quickly. Okay. We'll see you shortly. It sounds like in a short period of time, but it doesn't sound as fast as in no time. Soonly is not a word. So you can say the doctor will see you soon. The doctor will see you soon, which I think is the equivalent to shortly. The doctor will see you soon. The doctor will see you shortly. Soonly is not a word. Okay. Awesome, everyone. This is interesting. The doctor will see you in a while. In a while. Now, this, I'd be like, what? Why? Because it sounds like it's a long time. So it's interesting. We have these different time expressions that students might think, oh, I can just use any one of these because you might learn them all in a YouTube lesson as alternative time expressions, but they actually communicate a very specific meaning. Like I said, in no time, that sounds very soon. Shortly or soon sounds like an average amount of waiting. And in a while, it sounds like the doctor is delayed. I might as well start working on something else because I'm going to be here for a while. So they communicate different things. Oh, this is really interesting. So, in the medical sense, we don't use the terminology of customer. A customer is used in a business context to represent the relationship between a buyer and a seller. Now, even though in most countries you do have to pay for medical treatment, you are a buyer and the hospital is a seller, we don't use that terminology of customer. In the medical context, they use the terminology, does anyone know? Patient. Patient. Yes, Kadif. Yes. So at the dentist, at the eye doctor, optometrist, at whatever doctor, whatever doctor it is, does not matter. They will say patient. So if you call and say, oh, I'd like to make an appointment, they might say, oh, are you a patient here? Are you a patient? Exactly. Awesome job, everyone. Now, with your hair, you're not a patient because it's not medical. So you would just be a customer, or uh, they also use the terminology client. Client sounds like you have a more intimate relationship because if you go to the same person for your hair every 8 weeks and you've been doing that for years, you have more of a relationship with that person. Customer sounds more transactional, and client sounds more like a relationship. Really interesting how these words have a meaning in them. Okay. Okay, everyone. Let's keep going. Hopefully the receptionist says in no time. In no time. That would be my personal favorite because I know it's happening soon. Very soon, I should add. Okay. How about this one? So the receptionist might say to you, is your information on file up to date? Is your information on file up to date? Is your information on file up to date? Is your information. First of all, this your can become more of an unstressed your. Is urine. So you can use this R to connect to the vowel sound. Is your information. Repeat after me. Is your information on file, information on. So you can add this N to on. Is your information on file up to? This to will become unstressed because it's a preposition. Up to, up to, up to date, up to date. Now, here, because date ends the sentence and you naturally take a pause anyway, you can pronounce that T. Up to date. Up to date. Now, you have a file. So a file is a document with all your personal information, such as your address, your insurance, your phone number, your next of kin. So if there's an emergency, they call your next of kin. That would be the family that you add to the file, for example, and any of your patient information. So treatments you've had, medications that you've been prescribed, things like that. So we call that's your file. Your file. Okay. So the preposition is on file. On file. And up to date means the most recent and the most current. So if you moved in the last 6 months, then your information is not the most recent or the most current because it's your old address. Or if you've changed jobs, it's not up to date. If you have a new insurance provider, it's not up to date. If you have a new child, it's not up to date, right? You need to provide all of that information. Okay. Yeah, updated is the most comparable. Updated. So I'm seeing a lot of different word choices that aren't really synonymous to be examples. So to be honest, you wouldn't say, is your personal data still actual? You wouldn't say that. You would say, is your personal data up to date? That's what you would say. Maybe still correct, but I would say still up to date, up to date. That's the language that they would use, up to date. Okay. Yeah, exactly. It's simply, is it correct or not? Like I said, if you change your address and they have an old address, then it's not correct. Yes, Ruslan, that's a great way of thinking of it. All right. Awesome job, everyone. Let's talk about describing your symptoms. Now, first of all, think about the last symptom you had, and if you feel comfortable, you can make it up. If you don't want to share personal details, I understand. So feel free to make it up if you want, or think of someone else, a symptom that they've had, and describe a symptom. This is just to practice vocabulary. It's not because I want to know about your medical symptoms. Okay. So, how about this one? Oh, well, first of all, this isn't a symptom, but now you've finally made it out of the waiting room and you're sitting in the doctor's office, finally. And the doctor says to you, what brings you in today? What brings you in today? There are many different things the doctor could say, but this is a very common one. What brings you in today? So this is another way of saying, why are you here? But a doctor would not say that because that sounds too direct. It almost sounds like rude. Why are you here? So nobody would say that. So this same expression, a hairstylist could say this to you. Oh, what brings you in today? Oh, I just want to get a trim. So that's why I'm here, to get a trim, a small amount of hair cut off. So, in this context, what brings you in today? Then you would describe your symptoms. Okay. What brings you? So, notice this as we can link it, brings you, you. So, it will sound like a voiced sound, brings you, brings you in. You in. So you might hear a little bit of a W sound to help glide the U in, you win, you win, you win. So it might sound like win, you win, you win, you win today. What brings you in today? What brings you in today? Yeah, exactly. What's the reason for coming or for being here? Exactly, exactly. Okay, Alexander, what problem has made you, so this is just too much of a direct translation. You wouldn't say too advertised to me. Maybe a doctor would say, so what problem brings you in today? Now, the doctor might make it plural. What problems bring you in today? What problems are you experiencing? There are other ways, but this wouldn't be one of them. But good try. Good try. Okay. So again, just naturally, what brings you in today? What brings you in today? What brings you in today? Very natural expression. Keep this in your vocabulary because a lot you don't need to use this just in a medical context. Like I said, for your hair, for your nails, for appointments with service providers, even if you bring your car into a garage, which is what we say for a mechanic, you bring your car to a mechanic into a garage and they can say, "Oh, what brings you in today?" "Oh, my engine is making this weird noise," or "My tires are deflated," whatever it might be. Okay. Yeah, and here's a reason why. "Oh, I have a backache. Oh, I have a backache." Oh, I like this one. "What seems to be the problem? What seems to be the problem?" That's a good one. I like that. And this could be used in a mechanic situation. You're talking to the mechanic. "Oh, what seems to be the problem with your car?" That's a good one. That's natural. Good job. "I have a sore throat." Yes, exactly. I have a sore throat. Exactly. Exactly. "I have a headache." "Oh, I have a headache." Okay, this Ruslan, if you use what, then you need to add with. What can I help you with? Okay. Otherwise, you would use how. How can I help you? How can I help you? How can I help you? What can I help you with? What can I do for you? That would be another one as well. All right. Ooh, I'm suffering. This is a good one. You can simply say I have, or you can use the verb suffer. In this case, the present continuous because it's taking place now. "I'm suffering from severe back pain." Yeah, because severe obviously makes it sound more serious. So doctors and medical professionals, they often ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, how severe is your pain? So 1 is the lowest and 10 is the highest. So severe back pain sounds like maybe an 8, 9, 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay, I have a toothache. Exactly, exactly. I have a toothache. Very nice, very nice. Okay, what did I say? I have watery eyes. I like that one. I have watery eyes. Nice. Okay. I've had a high fever for 4 days. I've been taking Tylenol, but it hasn't gone down. This is a longer one because it'd be more realistic if a doctor asked you. You probably just wouldn't say, I have a fever. You probably give them more information, right? So I wanted this to sound like something I would naturally say to a doctor. I wouldn't just say, I have a fever. I would give that doctor information. I've had a high fever. So, high, remember on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe high is a 7, 8. I've had a high fever for 4 days. So notice we need four with a period of time, a duration of time. There's a start and an end. Since is used with a starting point in time. So since would be since Friday, since Saturday, since last Monday. It's a starting point in time. And this is in the present perfect. I've had. Yes, I could say I have a high fever. That's for right now. But I've had is the present perfect because I'm focusing on the fact it started in the past and continues until now. I've had a high fever for 4 days. Now, I'm going to give my doctor a little more information because if you have a fever, generally you don't go to the doctor. You just take Tylenol, which is the medicine that the brand name of the medicine that's ubiquitous in North America. I don't know what the equivalent would be for you. I don't know if Tylenol exists, but it's what's the medical ingredient? Acetaminophen, I think is the medical ingredient. It reduces your fever, basically. I've been taking Tylenol. So notice this is in the present perfect continuous because we don't put the verb have to describe a state of being. We don't put that in the continuous form. But the verb take, you can put in the continuous form. I've been taking Tylenol because I started taking Tylenol 4 days ago and I'm still taking Tylenol now. But the fever, it hasn't gone down. This is the present perfect in the negative to describe something that hasn't happened yet. It's an unfinished time reference, which is why this is in the present perfect, because it's still possible for the fever to go down. Ah, yes, I'm burning up. So let's say you're a younger kid, okay? Maybe you're 10 years old or 12 years old, and you go to your parents and you say, "Oh, I don't feel very well." The first thing they'll probably do is feel your forehead. And then if you feel hot, like you have a fever, they'll say, "Wow, you're burning up. You're burning up." Which sounds like you have a fever. Okay. You have a fever. It's great, great expression, Paslak. Very natural. It's very much used. Okay. But the fever hasn't gone down. So to go down, of course, I don't know what a high fever would be. Maybe 104. I don't know. 104, 105, 106. And then maybe that's too high. I'm not sure. And then to go down, obviously your temperature decreases. The number goes down to 101, 100, 99, 98. I don't even know what a normal temperature is, to be honest. I think it's in the high 90s, right? Maybe 97, 98. Someone let me know, what is our normal temperature of the human body? So 105 is too high. Thank you, Samira. Would that be like an extreme fever? I'm not sure. Okay, clearly I'm not a medical doctor. So this is a great thing you can say to a doctor, or you can just say to your friends, your boss. This could be the reason why you need to take the day off. So you will not go to work today. You take the day off and you tell your boss, "Oh, I've had a high fever for 4 days. I've been taking Tylenol, but it hasn't gone down. I need to stay home today." 98. Oh, yeah, 98 degrees. That's the name of a band. Or it was a band. Was it 98 degrees? I think so. Something like that. 95, 98, 98 Fahrenheit. Oh, okay. 98 degrees. There you go. That's baseline, the normal temperature. Thank you, everyone. And yes, that's a great song, Temperature. I agree. It's a good song. All right. Next one. How about this? Again, I'm using the present perfect just because when you go to a doctor or you're describing symptoms, generally you need to give more information. So, yes, you can say what you have. I have a cough, but you want to be more prescriptive. You want to give more information. I've had a persistent cough. What is a persistent cough? Who knows? What's the use of persistent? And again, the present perfect. So notice that I've had, I've had, I've had a, had a, had a, I've had a, I've had a, I've had a persistent cough. Now, remember, I said since is for the starting point in time, since the beginning of last month. So this tells the doctor that, oh, okay, this is serious because it has been there for a long period of time and it's getting worse. Oh, so again, giving more information to the doctor to justify why you're there. Nobody wakes up with a cough and goes to the doctor, right? You don't go to the doctor on the first day. Generally, it's because the symptoms are there for a while. You've tried some over the counter medicine. Over the counter means you don't need a prescription for it. So I can just walk into the pharmacy in North America. You can get this at the grocery store as well and just buy Tylenol or buy cough medicine. I don't need a prescription. So that's over the counter. Okay. And yes, persistent. We have some great synonyms. Unstoppable. Yeah, exactly. Continuous, consistent. Yeah, continuous. Continuous is a great one. Continuous. Yeah. And won't stop, like Hidaki said as well, unstoppable. It sounds like I've taken medicine. I've I've drunk a lot of tea with honey. I've slept a lot. It's been days, it's been weeks, and it's still here. So it won't go away. It won't go away. All right. And it's getting worse. It is getting worse because it's happening now. That's why that's in the present continuous. Now, to get worse, that is the verb to get worse. So, get is that transition from one state to another state. Okay. So, it's maybe right now it's bad and then very bad. So it's transitioning. So that's get worse. It's getting worse. My fever is getting worse. My back pain is getting worse. Now you can do the opposite, is getting better. Oh, my backache is getting better. My fever is getting better. I'm getting better. So you can use both of those as well. All right. And hopefully you use getting better. Let's keep going. How about this? Remember, you're describing your symptoms to a doctor or medical professional. Yesterday, my vision suddenly became blurry in one eye. I'll say it fast. Yesterday, my vision suddenly became blurry in one eye. Now let's talk about some pronunciation here. Yesterday, my vision. So nothing going on there. Yesterday, my vision. There's no linking. suddenly became no linking, suddenly became blurry, no linking. So now blurry in one eye. So you may have noticed linking generally takes place when one word starts with a vowel sound, but it also depends on what the last word ends with. So here we have a vowel, Y, to another vowel, I. Blurry in, blurry in. So I can just use that Y, that Y sound, yin. So instead of in, it sounds like yin, 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 blurry in, blurry in one eye. Now remember, this looks like a vowel, but what's the pronunciation? One. It's a W. It's the same as we won the game, which is spelled WON. So the linking and pronunciation changes don't take place based on spelling, they take place based on pronunciation. One, in one. That's why there isn't a linking between this N and here because the sound is W. In one eye. One. And so the end is actually on N, one eye. So I add this N sound because the E is silent for pronunciation. So I add the N to I. Exactly. Thank you for spelling that because this is how it sounds. It ends on the N. One nigh, nigh. So this I sounds like nigh, nigh. Yeah. Thank you, Hidaki. In one nigh. Maybe I would keep that O for one, one nigh, nigh, nigh. But everything else that looks very phonetic to me. Okay, great job. Okay, so my vision. So you have your senses, right? Sense of smell, sense of sight. That's your sense. But then your ability to see, we call that vision. Vision. So you can say, I have 20/20 vision, which is I believe, the highest vision available for humans, the best vision. So you don't wear glasses if you have 20/20 vision, right? So that would be vision. So vision, my vision suddenly became blurry. So if your vision is blurry, just imagine the resolution on this screen is like 380 or something, just really low resolution. There's lots of lines through it. You can't see my face clearly. That would be blurry, blurry. So you can use this to describe a photo. You can say, oh no, the photo I took is blurry, is blurry. So you can't see everything clearly. Okay. So blurry in one eye. So either this eye or this eye, but not both. So this isn't the most specific. It would probably be better if I said in my left eye, in my right eye. So that would be more specific because then the doctor's just going to say, well, which eye? Which eye? Your left eye, or your right eye, right? So I could have been more precise with this. All right. And suddenly it means like right now I'm working and I can see perfectly and then I can't see. So it wasn't gradual where every day it seems to be getting a little worse, a little worse. It was like this. So that's suddenly, in an instant, suddenly, suddenly. Okay. Yeah, exactly. You can use blurry with low quality of an image, video as well. Yes, and blurry is what you can use with your eyes, so your vision. Oh, right. Okay, so this is something you could say to your doctor. I'll say it one more time fast. Yesterday, my vision suddenly became blurry in one eye. Okay. Yeah, for sure. You can say instead of in two eyes, I would just say in my eyes. Because if you use eyes plural, I only have two eyes, right? So there's no need to say in two eyes. No need. You would say just in my eyes. Or I just wouldn't say that. I would just say my vision suddenly became blurry. So I would just be general and not specify. Or alternatively, I would say in both of my eyes, in both of my eyes, in my eyes, or just simply my vision without specifying the one eye. Okay, let's keep going. How about this? So, this is something you would say to a doctor. Now, remember, there are doctor is a general term. There are specialists. So, what is the name of the medical specialist that deals with eyes? So, a medical doctor, but for your eyes. Who knows the name of this? So, you can put it in the comments. And what about a medical doctor that you might go to because of your skin? All right? Because here, let me read this. There's a strange rash spreading across my arms and chest. Ooh. Okay. So arms, notice arms is plural, so it means both. I don't have to say my two arms because I only have two, right? So I would just say my arms and chest. So it would be from here. Now, what is a rash? A rash is when you have red on your skin. It could be bumps on your skin, red bumps, things like that. That would be a rash. And strange, by saying strange, it means that you don't know why it's there. Maybe you get rashes because some people get rashes if their skin is sensitive to laundry detergent, to strong smells, for example. So you may know why you have a rash, or you were hiking and you touched a lot of leaves, so you may know why you have a rash because you were hiking in the woods and you touched a lot of leaves, which can be poisonous to the human skin. But if you say strange, it sounds like you don't know why it's there. Okay, so the doctor for this is an optometrist. 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 Did I see a lot of weird spellings of this? Optometrist. Okay. And then the doctor for this one for your skin is dermatologist. The skin is called derma. I believe it's derma. It could be dermin or something like that, but derma in, I guess, Latin. So that's where the word origin comes from. I believe. I that sounds correct to me, but don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. Dermatologist. So dealing with your skin. All right. Okay. Yeah, derma. Yay, I got it right. Derma. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, so maybe every fall or every spring you get a rash. So for because of allergies. So you wouldn't say it's a strange rash because you get it every year. So it just sounds like you don't understand the origin, you don't know why you don't usually get rashes, for example. That's why you would add strange in here. And now, if it's spreading, it means it's getting worse. Okay. So maybe it started here and then now it's here. And then a few days later, it's here. a few more days it's here. And then I see another area here. So that's what spreading means. Spreading. Okay. I'll say this fast. There's a rash, there's a strange rash spreading across my arms and chest. So you'll hear a voiced sound. There's za. So it sounds like za. There's a strange rash spreading. Now, transitioning from an SH, which is like this, shh, that's the SH, shh, sh, to an S is difficult in English for native speakers. Okay. So certain sound combinations create natural tongue twisters. For me personally, SH to S is a natural tongue twister. I have difficulty with it. So whenever words are difficult to pronounce, you can add just a purpose pause. So a pause on purpose. Rash spreading. So I'm going to fully pronounce rash and then I will say spreading. Rash spreading. Rash spreading. Rash spreading. Because otherwise the sounds might get mumbled together. But my goal is to make that pause as quick as possible. Okay. Rash spreading. So I can practice it far away. Rash spreading, but I want to get it as small as I can. There's a strange rash spreading across. So when I'm in that G position, spreading, my tongue's curled up. So when I say the A, I'm just going to release my tongue from the G. Spreading. So you can probably see my tongue there. Practice that. Across, spreading across my arms and so we have an S here with an A, arms and chest. Now this and can just be pronounced as an So when you say coffee and tea, coffee and chocolate, coffee and milk, coffee and sugar, whatever it is, instead of saying coffee and tea, you can just say coffee and arms and chest, arms and chest, arms and chest. Okay. Spreading, if it helps you to think of it as continuous, then feel free to do that. It means it's getting worse. It's moving from one area to another. So it's getting bigger or it's also expanding in the space it takes. That would be spreading. Yeah, great job writing that out. Spreading across. Spreading across. Exactly. Very nice. A rash and itchy, no, they do not have the same meaning. So a rash describes the area that is red and potentially has bumps. Someone said like pimples. So that's a good way of thinking of it. So you would just look at it and say, that's a rash. That's a rash. Okay. Itchy is when you go like this. Oh, itchy. My rash is so itchy. So itchy is that feeling, that sensation that you need to scratch. So right now I'm scratching my arm because my arm is itchy. Okay. Now, some rashes are itchy, but I don't think it's a requirement. I think you can have a rash that is not itchy, but it's very common for rashes to also be itchy. But no, they're not the same thing. Okay, great question. Let's keep going. Let's talk about medication and treatment. This doctor, it almost looks like he's like like gasping at your chart, which is not what you want your doctor to do at all. You don't want to see this face when you're talking to your doctor. But maybe he's just contemplating. I don't know. To me, it's like he's gasping at it, which I don't like. How about this? The doctor will say to you, I'll write you a prescription. I'll write you a prescription. So if you have a rash or if you have a very high fever, maybe you need a prescription for a certain medication with stronger ingredients. Remember, I said over the counter. If you can get a medication over the counter, it means that you do not need a prescription. But generally, there's only limited medical ingredients and the strength of those ingredients that you can get without a prescription. So if you need something stronger or certain types of medications require a prescription, right? I don't know what it's like in your country, but I imagine it's the same thing. Over the counter, over the counter, over the counter means you do not need a prescription. So that's a really good one. Let me write this. You can get this over the counter, which means you don't need a prescription. Okay. So I'll just show you. You can get this over the counter. So maybe there's a cream that the doctor wants you to take for your rash, right? And then he says to you, you can get this over the counter, which means you can go to the pharmacy or you can go to the grocery store in North America and you can just buy it along with your eggs, your bread, your milk. You can just buy it. You do not need a prescription. Okay. That's over the counter, over the counter, over the counter. So it's the opposite of a prescription. Now, if you cannot get it over the counter, the doctor will say to you, I'll write you a prescription. So they use the terminology write you because they actually write it out on a piece of paper. And then they either give you that piece of paper and then you give that piece of paper to the pharmacist, okay? Or the doctor will give that piece of paper to the receptionist and the receptionist will send it to the pharmacist electronically, right? Either one of those will happen. So that's why the doctor says, I'll write you a prescription. Now it's possible they might say, I'll give you a prescription, but it's very common to use the verb write. I'll write you a prescription.
Now let's change topics again and you'll learn important vocabulary you can use while staying at a hotel.
So let's review check-in. Check-in. Of course, this is when you come to the hotel, you register, and you get your key. You check in. You can say, hi there, just checking in. The reservation is under Forrest. So this is what I would say when I approach the check-in desk to get the person's attention. Hi there. Adding there is a friendly way when you don't know the person's name. So you can simply say hi. That's fine. But saying there sounds more friendly. It's what natives do when we don't know the person's name. Hi there, just checking in. So notice here, I'm not using the subject or the verb. Native speakers commonly drop the subject and verb in spoken English, especially when it's obvious and in casual situations. I'm just checking in. I'm checking in. So here the verb is to check in. Check in. And then it's conjugated in the present continuous. Just checking in. The reservation is under. So notice that preposition. The reservation is under. And then you can just use your last name, under Forrest. If you want, you can use your first name, last name, Jennifer Forrest. That's fine. Or you can just use your last name under Forrest. And this is the same, the reservation is under Forrest. That's the same language you can use when you have a hotel reservation as well. How about this one? Let me just pull that up. Oh, so what's the phrasal verb here? And what is the meaning of this? Do you know? Well, remember, we're at a hotel. I introduce myself. Hi there, just checking in. And then this person, the person who works at the hotel, after I said this, says, let me just pull that up. So, what does that represent in the sentence based on what I just said? Just checking in, the reservation is under Forrest. Let me just pull that up. What does that represent? That represents the reservation. The reservation. Let me just pull your reservation up. Or it could be, let me just pull your information up. But that represents reservation. And if you pull something up, it means you make it visible on your screen. So right now, you don't see the presentation. So if I say, oh, let me just pull up my presentation, I made it visible on a screen. So we only use this for information that's available on a device. And you basically just open it on your device and then it becomes visible. Let me just pull that up. So you'll hear this a lot at the doctor, dentist, hair salon, anywhere you have a reservation where it's electronically managed. But at the beginning of a presentation at work, you might say, let me just pull my presentation up. Let me just pull my presentation up. So you can use this in the workplace a lot. Okay. And Mohammed gave us the definition to retrieve or locate a specific piece of information. I would add on to that and say to make it visible as well. But if I can just locate the file on my computer, I know it's in this folder, but I need to click on it and actually make it visible. So just make sure you add that to your definition. Oh, and thank you so much for jumping in with your like. I love that. I appreciate it. Okay, let's keep going. Let me just pull that up. Let me just pull that up. Let me just pull that up. How about this one? So the person pulls up the information, which means makes it visible on the screen. And then she says, I have you in a deluxe room with a king bed for 2 nights. So usually they'll just confirm your reservation. So the reservation is I booked. I booked. That's the verb to book a hotel room. I booked a deluxe room, king bed, and I'm staying for 2 nights. So that's the important information that the person is confirming. And notice this language, I have you in a, I have you in a, I have you in a. So that's just a very natural way. I have you in a, I have you in a. Notice that pronunciation. I have you in a, I have you in a deluxe room with a king bed for 2 nights. So 4 will become very unstressed. For 2 nights, for 2 nights. I have you in a deluxe room with a king bed for 2 nights. So of course, king is the adjective to modify bed. It's the size of the bed. It's the biggest bed. Let's keep going. Now the person says, confirms the information. So I would say, yep. So usually they do that because they want you to confirm it's correct. Yep, that's right. And then they can say, I'll need a credit card and your passport for the reservation. I'll need a credit card and your passport for the reservation. I'll need a. You could also say, I need a, that's fine. I need a credit card. I need a credit card and your passport for the reservation. Putting it in the future simple is just something very casual, something that native speakers would often do. I'll need a credit card and your passport for the reservation. So this is to complete the information. I need to provide this to the person at the hotel. Here's my credit card. Here's my passport. Okay. Let's keep going. How about this? And then I provide that information so my reservation is complete. And then she gives me my room key. Your room is 604. Your room is 604. Your room is 604. She could also say, you're in, to be in a room. You're in room 604. That's also possible. You are in room 604. But here it's your room is. Your room is. Your room is 604. The elevator is at the end of the hall to the left. To the left. So I know I need to go to the end of the hall. So the hall is the corridor. So to the end of the hall, and then I need to turn left. End of the hall to the left. That's where the elevator is. Okay. Awesome job, everyone. I see everyone practicing. Woohoo. Great job. Oh, how about this? Has this happened to you? You get to the hotel, you check in, but your room isn't ready yet. So the person might say, instead of giving you your room key, they may say this: your room is just being cleaned. So your room is being cleaned. So to be cleaned, because the room is receiving the action, the room is not doing the action. So your room is being cleaned. And then the verb is in the present continuous. So the verb is be, and then it's in the present continuous. They're adding on just. In this case, it's more of a word filler. Native speakers, we use the word just a lot. It sounds more friendly and it sounds casual, conversational. So just is added a lot in native speech. And often it doesn't have meaning. It's more of a word filler. Your room is just being cleaned. It will be ready at 3. It will be ready at 3. It'll be ready at 3. So if you formed a contraction, it will be ready. It'll be ready. It'll be ready. And then we use at and then a specific time at 3. Would you like to store your bag in the meantime? Would you like to store your bag in the meantime? So in the meantime represents the time from now, maybe it's 2:15 until 3. That's in the meantime. So would you like, that's a more formal way of asking a question instead of do you want to? Would you like? Would you like to? And then the verb is store. So to store something means to keep it secure in a specific location. Now here they are saying your bag. Bag is a general term. You could also use your suitcase, your luggage as well. So bag, suitcase, luggage, all 3 could be used. It may just be dependent on the style of the bag the person has. Would you like to store your bag, store your luggage, store your suitcase in the meantime? In the meantime. No, you can say meanwhile here. Meanwhile here. You would say in the meantime. Okay, so that's something that's commonly said. Usually, if you're there before check in. So if check in is 3 o'clock, That is when the room is ready. But it's common to get to a hotel before check in, especially depending on if you're flying in or taking the train. So maybe I got there early and that's why the room isn't ready. Okay, now let's move on and talk about amenities. Amenities. In the context of a hotel, what are amenities? Do you know? Amenities represent the services or things that the hotel has available. So, just from looking at this picture, I see, well, there's a pool. That's one of the amenities. So, when you're looking at a hotel and you're deciding which hotel to choose, you'd be like, oh, this one has a pool. This one has an outdoor pool. So that could be one of the reasons why you book this hotel because of one of the amenities. And one of the amenities is the fact that there's an outdoor pool. Okay. So, what kind of amenities are important to you when you book a hotel? When you choose a hotel, are there certain amenities that you always want? No, amenities are not furniture because when you book a hotel, it's assumed that your hotel has furniture. So, amenities are not furniture. They're additional things that the hotel offers you beyond a bed, a toilet, a shower. Those are things everyone gets in a hotel. So, they're additional things that not every hotel has. Okay. Exactly, Mirek. Pool, sauna, fitness studio, those could be the types of amenities. Yes, indoor pool, exactly. Yeah. Angel wants a pool for sure. Yeah, a yoga class could absolutely be an amenity. Absolutely. So, classes that the hotel offers. And yeah, you can think of them as facilities, but not only facilities, because an amenity could also be breakfast. And that's not a facility per se. Yeah, additional things. That's a good explanation. Types of service. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yes, free Wi Fi for sure. I would say free Wi Fi. Yeah, classes for kids. Yeah, maybe they have a salon for sure. Very good. Gym, outdoor pool for sure. Awesome. Great job, everyone. These are all perfect styles of amenities. Okay, so one of the students mentioned Wi Fi. So, generally, hotels provide free Wi Fi, and they advertise that as one of the reasons why you should book at our hotel. We have free high speed Wi Fi included in the price of your stay. So that would be an amenity. An amenity. It's a service they provide to you, and you don't have to pay anything additional for it. So the Wi Fi password is on your room key. So often you're given your room key and it might be in a little envelope, and then they'll write the Wi Fi details right on the room key for you. So the person at check in might say this: the Wi Fi password is on your room key. The Wi Fi password is on your room key. Because, of course, that's one of the first questions you'll ask. So they want to make it easy for you to find. The Wi Fi password is on your room key. Okay, how about this one? Complimentary breakfast is served from 7 to 9:30. Complimentary breakfast. So what does complimentary mean? If the hotel check-in at reception they say to you, complimentary breakfast is served from 7 to 9:30. What does that mean? Yeah, complimentary is at a hotel is the word they use instead of free. So they could absolutely say free breakfast, but they don't. They say it's complimentary. And let's say they have some coffee or some bottles of water on a table. You might ask, is this complimentary? You're asking, can I take a water for free or do I need to pay? So, is this complimentary? Is another way of saying, is this free? Is this free? Okay. But they use the word complimentary. They use this on flights as well. You might get some complimentary drinks or snacks, complimentary movies. You don't have to pay for the movie, things like that. So, complimentary is a word used with hotels, flights, and I can't think of other places, but those are common. Trains as well, I guess. Yes, free, free, free. So you want that. So complimentary breakfast, excuse me, I have something in my throat, is served. So they're using the verb served as the adjective form because it's to be served, to be served. Breakfast is not doing the action. So breakfast is served. And then we have our times from 7. Now, if I were to vocalize this dash, and I already said it, but if I were to vocalize this dash, what word would I say for this dash? What word is this? This dash is a word. Okay? So someone put that in the chat. And instead of served, I could say is available, is available. So those would be the two word choices. Is served, is available. Yeah. So from to. From is the beginning point, to is the end point. So from 7 to 9:30. From 7 to 9:30. From 7 to 9:30. Okay. Now, I didn't add AM from 7 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. because context makes it obvious. It's breakfast. Breakfast is served in the morning. So you don't need to say AM because it's obvious. So they may say it, but they may not because it's obvious based on context. Complimentary breakfast is served from 7 to 9:30. How about this? There is coffee, tea, and water available in the lobby. There's coffee, tea, and water available in the lobby. So sometimes when you're in a larger hotel, they have a separate lobby area with some chairs and tables, and you might see a station, a coffee station, and they have tea bags and a Keurig or an automatic coffee maker, and they're letting you know this is free. If they let you know it's available, then you can assume it's for free. Yeah, they're complimentary. They may add complimentary coffee, tea, and water are available in the lobby. So they may add the word complimentary, but they don't need to. Yeah, exactly. It's obvious. You don't need to write AM if you say breakfast. Exactly. Okay. How about this one? So, an amenity that many people love is a pool. So, we saw in the picture an outdoor pool, but there can also be an indoor pool. So, that's what you would say if the pool is outside. You would say an outdoor pool. You wouldn't say an outside pool. You would say an outdoor pool, an indoor pool, an outdoor pool, an indoor pool. Okay. And the adjective comes before the noun. Otherwise, you could say the pool is outdoors, the pool is outside. So you could say outside or outdoors with an S. Ah, yeah. So there's a rooftop. You would add the word top. There's a rooftop pool. There's a rooftop pool. So that would be the adjective rooftop, one word. There's a rooftop pool, or there's a pool on the roof. On the roof. So you need the preposition on the roof. There's a rooftop pool. Okay, so the pool is on the second floor. Notice with our ordinal number, second, you need the second floor, and is open from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. to 10 to 10. So remember, this dash is vocalized as two. So from 10 a.m. to 10 to 10 to 10 to 10 to 10 p.m. So from 10 to 10. The pool is open. So you need to be open, which means you are allowed to use that facility. How about this? The gym is on the 18th floor. The gym. So this is another amenity. You don't have to pay money to use it. It's available as part of your stay at the hotel. And this is one of the reasons why you might choose this hotel, because they have a gym. They might also say the fitness center or the fitness facility. They might use a different word. Sometimes they want to make it sound fancier than it is. The fitness center. Oh, wow, there's a whole center. So it sounds a little more impressive saying that. And they may want to make it sound more impressive, but they may also just say the gym. The gym is on. So on a floor. So located on. The gym is on the 18th floor. So again, the 18th floor, and is open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. So from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Here I wrote out two. I didn't use the dash. There's no reason why. Is open. How about this one? There's an ice machine to the left of the elevators on every floor. So I don't know if this is a very special amenity, but they may tell you, oh, we have ice available. There's an ice machine. There's an ice machine to the left of the elevators. So you go to your elevator and then you go left. To the left of the elevators on every floor. So remember, we saw on the 18th floor, on every floor. So there's an ice machine on the second floor, third floor, fourth floor, fifth floor, etc. Every floor to the left of the elevators. I don't know why people love getting ice at hotels. Yeah, they might call it the recreation center as well. Fitness center, fitness studio, recreation center, lots of different names that the hotel may use to try to make it sound more elaborate or fancy. How about this? Look at this word and then listen to my pronunciation. Our concierge. Concierge. So this is a word we borrow from the French language. Our concierge is happy to provide any recommendations or answer any questions. So one of the services that they may provide you is a person called the concierge. So this is a job title. Concierge is a job title. It's someone who is available to give you directions, give you information about the city, give you information about the hotel, give you information about transportation, give you information about restaurants, food, attractions, all of that is a concierge. But now we just ask our phones. We don't really go to the concierge that much, but it used to be a very valuable service that was provided. Okay, our concierge is happy to provide any recommendations or answer any questions. How about this? They might let you know about room service. So this would be an amenity. So an amenity is the fact that you can have food delivered to your room. So that's called room service. Room service. So that's the name of the amenity, room service. Room service is available. Room service is available from 6 a.m. to midnight. So midnight is 12 a.m. But often we'll use the words noon to represent 12 p.m., midday. We'll say noon, and we'll say midnight to represent 12 a.m. because you instantly understand noon and midnight more so than 12 a.m., 12 p.m., which even native speakers still mix up a.m. and p.m. with 12. It's funny. So room service is available from 6 a.m. to midnight. From 6 a.m. to midnight. To order, so to order room service, to order, dial 1. To order, dial 1. So you pick up your phone. There's always a phone in the hotel room with pre-programmed numbers. So you can pick up the phone and you just dial 1, and then someone will say, room service, and then you place your order. Okay. So, since we're talking about the concierge, let's move on. So, Samira said the concierge help us book a taxi to the airport. Exactly. So, that's what the concierge was available to do. Things like book things for you and provide information. Okay. Yeah. And she might say, I'm at your service. I'm at your service for sure. Yeah, so midnight, order from 6 a.m. to midnight. So I generally don't push out that T, midnight, night. So I put my tongue in the position, midnight, but then I just don't go t because then it produces a T. If it's at the very end of a sentence, you could push it out because you have to take a pause anyway. So midnight, midnight. I may be more likely to push out that T, but probably you're not going to hear it very much. So midnight, night, midnight. Great question. Exactly. Mute T at the end. And these aren't things native speakers notice. It's not like I consciously think about it. It just, they're natural pronunciation changes that take place. We don't notice them. If you asked a native speaker if they're using a stop T, they would say, what are you talking about? They have no idea. It's just how we naturally speak. Okay. So back to our concierge. So when was the last time you used a concierge and what did you ask your concierge? Maybe you say this. So you can go up to the concierge. You can use that phrase that I taught you at the very beginning. Hi there. Hi there. I don't know her name, but to sound more friendly, I'm going to say there. I could just say, hi, hi, how are you? I could do that as well. Or I can just say, hi there, which sounds more friendly than just saying hi. Hi there, hi there. I'm looking for a cafe I can work from this afternoon. So this is what I want a recommendation on. A cafe I can work from this afternoon. So you can work from a cafe, which means I'm going to do work at the cafe. Now I can give some additional information about the cafe. Great coffee, nice vibe, not Starbucks. So adding non Starbucks, this lets the person know I don't want to go to a chain. I want more of a local cafe, an independent cafe. So that's what this means by adding not Starbucks. So great coffee, nice vibe. What does that mean? Nice vibe, nice vibe. So this is exactly what I would say to the concierge. This is the type of language I would use, and this is the level of formality I would use as well. Okay, so vibe represents the atmosphere. So when you walk into the atmosphere, I want it to be just a nice atmosphere, a nice vibe, atmosphere. Exactly. So by saying not Starbucks, I don't want a mass market coffee. I don't want a chain. I don't want some global conglomerate. I want an independent cafe. I want to experience what a cafe is like in this new city because I'm a tourist here. I don't want to go to Starbucks, which is the same everywhere you go. So that's what that could represent. Yeah, maybe like a traditional coffee shop. Exactly. Comfortable, nice vibe, cozy atmosphere. Exactly. Positive. Exactly. All right. So great coffee, nice vibe, not Starbucks. Now, if you are looking for somewhere you can work from, it depends what type of work you're doing because maybe you would want to say, like quiet because if you're working from there, maybe you need the cafe to be a little more quiet, perhaps. So maybe you would add different adjectives depending on what type of work you need to do. Yeah, so you might add quiet to that for sure. And notice I'm not saying, can you recommend or can you provide? I'm just letting the person know what I'm looking for. And then they're going to just provide a recommendation because that's the role of a concierge. So you don't necessarily have to use that standard. Can you recommend? What would you recommend? What would you advise? Because that's the whole purpose of a concierge. It's obvious that you want their recommendation. So basically, you just go up and you tell them what you want. Okay. So maybe again, are there any good Thai places within a 15-minute walk? Okay. So are there any? Now, in good, you can replace that with whatever adjective you want. Good is pretty basic. And then Thai. So, Thai is the adjective form to represent the food from Thailand, of course. But if you're looking for a different cuisine, a different uh, cuisine from a certain country, you would replace Thai with whatever you want. Now, notice I'm just saying places. I could say, are there any good Thai restaurants? But you can just use the word place because it's just obvious that it's a restaurant. So you can use the word place. And I'm saying places to make it plural because I'm talking about the whole category. Now, within, it means that 15 minutes is the maximum I want to walk because I said walk, but it can be shorter. So it could be 3 minutes, it could be 7 minutes, it could be 11 minutes, but I don't want to walk for 20 minutes. And 15-minute, this is the adjective, it describes the walk. So that's why there's no S on it because it's an adjective. Well, I mean, the person would understand you if you said venue, but it's not the word a native speaker would use to replace restaurant. So I personally wouldn't say venue, although I would understand what you mean, but it's not the correct word choice. So I would say restaurant or place. Yeah, exactly. So within 15 minutes means no longer than 15 minutes. Exactly. Exactly. Awesome. At most 15 minutes away. Yes. An awesome job now adding the S here because it's no longer an adjective. Okay. So what would you ask instead of Thai places? What would you ask? What would you replace the word Thai with? So what are some other adjectives? Any good Italian places, Chinese places, American places? What would you replace it with? Yeah, Peruvian places for sure. That's a good one. Are there any good Peruvian places within a 15-minute walk? Okay. Now, you might ask the concierge, do you know a good spot? Do you know a good spot for live music tonight? Do you know a good spot for live music tonight? Now, interestingly, where's my student who asked about a venue? W- Often they refer to places that have live music, concerts as venues. So if you said, do you know a good venue for live music? You could say that, Roberto. It is commonly used with music, but it's not commonly used as a place to eat. So it's an interesting thing about the English language. Do you know a good spot? Do you know a good venue? Do you know a good location? Do you know a good place for live music? So, live, right now, this lesson is live. You might not be watching it live because maybe you're watching it later, you're watching the replay, but right now, my students here, Layla, hello, is watching live. So she's watching in real time. So music, it's the musicians playing in real time. So live music, because you might go somewhere and they're just playing music in the background. They're playing it on a stereo system, but this is musicians, live music. Okay. Oh, Coma has a soft spot for live music. I love that. A soft spot. It means that Coma really enjoys live music. He can't resist it when there is an opportunity. Oh, right. Well, you're right. You're with us now, so you're not missing it, but maybe put it in your calendar. I go live at the same time every week. So it started 40 minutes ago. I don't know what that is in your local time, but it's 8 a.m. Eastern time every Tuesday. So you can put it in your calendar. How about this? Where's a non touristy spot where locals have breakfast? So, where's a spot? Here I'm using again that word spot, but I'm using it as a replacement for restaurant. So, notice here I use spot for a music venue, a place where they play music. But here I'm using the word spot for a restaurant. So, the word spot, place, location, they're quite generic. So, where's a spot where locals have breakfast? Locals, of course, are the people native to that area. So, if I'm a tourist in Texas, the locals would be people who live in Texas. So, where do people who live here have breakfast? And now notice I added non touristy. That probably wasn't necessary because locals generally don't eat at touristy spots, but I'm just adding it to make sure the concierge knows I don't want anything on rated number one on TripAdvisor or in the Lonely Planet guide that's full of tourists. So non touristy. So touristy is the place where tourists go. So touristy is an adjective. Non touristy means not a lot of tourists go to this place. Where's a non touristy spot where locals have breakfast? And then the concierge will give me recommendations. How about this? We want to have a drink before dinner. So, again, I'm talking to the concierge. So, I'm just telling the concierge what I want or what I'm looking for. And it's the concierge's job to provide advice, recommendations, help. We want to have a drink before dinner. So, notice this natural pronunciation. We want to have, we want to have, we want to have a, we want to have a, we want to have a, we want to have a drink before dinner, maybe a rooftop. Remember, we talked about this. Someone asked about a roof pool. And I said, it's not a roof pool, it's a rooftop. A rooftop. Maybe a rooftop. So this would be a rooftop bar or a rooftop patio because I'm talking about a drink. So, a drink, you could go to a restaurant for a drink. You could go to a cafe for a drink as well. You may also go to a bar if this is an alcoholic drink. It just depends what type of drink. Now, in North America, if you don't specify the type of drink, they're going to assume you mean alcohol. We want to have a drink. The concierge will assume it's alcohol, but you could add on what type of drink you want. We want to have a drink before dinner, maybe a rooftop. So that represents rooftop bar, patio, cafe, maybe a rooftop or somewhere, a place or somewhere with a view of the river. So these are the two locations for this drink that I'm looking for. Maybe a rooftop, maybe a view of the river. Thank you, Koma. I hope you have enough for a nice coffee there. That is so sweet of you. And I definitely do. Maybe I'll treat my husband. Maybe not. And no, I won't go to Starbucks. Thank you so much. That's sweet. Okay, we want to have a nice drink or we want to have a drink before dinner, maybe a rooftop or somewhere with a view of the river. So you can give your concierge some guidelines. You can even do this. So when I say concierge, you can put all of these into ChatGPT because you talk to ChatGPT like a person, or at least I do. I talk to ChatGPT conversationally. So I would give this exact prompt to ChatGPT. Although I would have to tell ChatGPT the location I'm in because obviously the concierge knows. Yeah, we want to have a drink before dinner on a patio. Exactly. And excellent job getting the correct preposition on a patio. On a patio. We want to have a drink before dinner on a patio. Exactly. Ah, yes, an infinity pool. Oh, sorry, that was your other one. There's a concept about rooftop pools, which the view of the pool shore is called infinity. Yeah, we call that an infinity pool. They're so beautiful. It's where the edge of the pool just looks like it goes into the distance. You can't even see the edge. So that's why it's infinity. You can see into infinity, an infinity pool. So that's what we call it, an infinity pool, an infinity pool. Love that. And Manuel said it's common in Spain that the roof is used for activities or for chilling out till midnight. Exactly. Exactly. Okay. Or remember talking to your concierge, do they have scooters for rent in the old port area? Do they have scooters for rent in the old port area? So this is something that I've noticed as a tourist. I don't know if you've seen this anywhere you've been a tourist, but even in my own city, they now have e-scooters. E represents electric scooters, e-scooters. So they have e-scooters and you just see them when I'm downtown in my city. There are e-scooters everywhere and they have a QR code on them and you just scan the QR code and then you pay with your credit card on the app and then you can just take the e-scooter and go from spot to spot. So this is something I'm seeing more and more. And so you might ask the concierge. I've also seen bikes in places. So the same concept, but they have bikes. I've seen e-bikes more than regular bikes. So again, electric, e-bikes, e-scooters. So I didn't add e in front of it because it's just assumed. Do they have do they have scooters? But you could say e-scooters. Do they have scooters for rent? For rent, for rent. That means you can rent them for rent in the old port area. So the old port just represents a specific area of the city I'm in, but you could change that to whatever you want, whatever area of the city. Okay. Ah, yeah, the infinity pool for paradise places. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Oops, sorry. Okay, let's go on. We are talking to the concierge. So now let's move on to requests and problems. But this is back with your hotel. So no longer with a concierge. Now we're back. You're in your hotel room. You're doing a little bit of work before you go out and rent your scooter and be a tourist. You're trying to get a little bit of work done, but then you either have a request or you have a problem. So let's see how you can deal with them. So again, remember I said you can add on the word there. Hi there. Can you send some more towels up to 604, please? Hmm. What's the use of the word up in this sentence? Does anyone know? What's the use of the word up? So you're calling on the phone because you're in your hotel room. And remember, in the hotel room, let's assume there's a phone and there's pre programmed where you just dial one to get to the front desk, you dial two to get to room service, you dial three to get to the concierge. So you dial one, someone answers, you say, "Hi there. Can you send some more towels up to 604, please? I'm staying in room 604." Well, you don't have to specify clean because they're not going to send up dirty towels. So, I mean, you could, but it would be superfluous. Oh, right. So the word up, yes, Mirror got it. The word up is not required. You could just say, "Can you send some more towels to 604?" The only word, the only reason why they used up is because the front desk 90% of the time, 99% of the time is on the main floor and I'm on the 6th floor. So I'm assuming that the person with the towels is going to travel up. And that's the only reason why the word up is there. To me, it sounds very natural to include it, but you don't have to. You could absolutely just say, "Can you send some more towels to 604?" And of course, you can add on please to sound more polite. Okay, how about this? I always request this as a tourist. I love getting a bathrobe from a hotel. They're always so soft and cozy. Do you have any bathrobes you can send up? So, one of the first things I do in a hotel is I open the closet to see if there's a bathrobe. And if there's not, because sometimes they don't have them in every room, but they do have bathrobes if you request them, if you request them. So I call and I ask, "Do you have any bathrobes you can send up?" But notice I'm asking it as a do you. But here I'm not asking it as a do you because, yes, they have towels. A hotel has towels. That's assumed. But I don't know if they have bathrobes. So I'm asking it as a do you. Do you have any bathrobes you can send up? So again, I'm using the word up. If you didn't use the word up, it would sound incomplete. Do you have any bathrobes you can send? It sounds incomplete to me. You can send up or you can send to 604 or whatever room I was to 604. Okay. Yeah, exactly, Helena. Bathrobes are available on request. And maybe usually there's a book in the hotel that gives you all the information about the hotel. So maybe they even say that in the book. Yeah, Samira, can you send a bathrobe? So if you use a means one, so you don't have that S. Can you send a bathrobe to my room, please? Exactly. Now you can simply say that because, and then they would say, oh, I'm sorry. We don't have bathrobes at our hotel. So you could do that as well. Okay. Or you call, remember you're calling front desk and you might say, hi there, I forgot toothpaste. Do you have any at the front desk? So I could also say, do you have any you can send up? Do you have any you can send up? Now, I'm not using the word toothpaste again because it's obvious. Do you have any toothpaste? Do you have any toothpaste at the front desk? But it's obvious because I just said it, so I don't need to repeat it. Do you have any at the front desk? Because again, I don't know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. In my experience, most hotels that I stay at do have these things. You'd be surprised if you forget something. The hotels often have a lot of these items if you forget it. So I forgot toothpaste, even a toothbrush. I forgot my toothbrush. Do you have any at the front desk? And then if they say yes, they'll just say yes, we'll send one up. So that's often what they would say as well. Yeah, yes, we do. We'll send one up right away. How about this one? So now this is a problem. So you may have problems in your hotel room. Hopefully, minor problems like this one sounds like a minor problem. So, again, you call, hi there. The air conditioner in my room is making a weird noise. Can you send someone to look at it? Can you send someone to look at it? So, of course, to look at it means to examine it, to review what the problem is or determine what the problem is, and then also to fix it. So, you could say, can you send someone to fix it? Can you send someone to repair it? Or just can you send someone to look at it? And then it's implied that they will first determine the problem and then also fix it. So you can use different words. And yeah, Gail, you could say a strange noise, an unusual noise, a loud noise, a buzzing noise, a clicking noise. You can use many different adjectives, but yes, absolutely. Strange is a perfect replacement to weird. To weird. The air conditioner in my room is making a weird noise. Notice this pronunciation weird, 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 weird noise. Can you send someone to look at it? Can you send someone to repair it, to fix it? Or maybe you just have a simple question and you just call quickly, hi there, what time is checkout? What time is checkout? So just a simple question. What time is checkout? Now, here, checkout is not the verb. It's a noun. It represents the the activity, the something, not the activity because verbs are activities. The something. It's a thing. So checkout in this case is a thing. So checkout is both a noun and a verb. And as a verb, it's a phrasal verb because you need the preposition out. Now, the person tells you, oh, checkout is at 11. In my experience, checkout is often at 11 a.m. So they would say, oh, checkout's at 11. And then you might ask, is it possible? Is it possible to check out at noon instead? So at noon, remember I said native speakers, we often use noon and midnight because 12 a.m. p.m. is confusing for native speakers. So we often use noon, midnight, at noon instead. Now, if you repeated 11, the answer to what time is checkout, you would need to say instead of 11. instead of 11. But because it's obvious, you don't need to say that. So you can just say instead. Now, in this case, checkout here is the noun form. And I explain that because in this sentence, checkout is the verb. So here it's the action to check out. This is the infinitive because is it possible? And then you need the infinitive to check out. So to leave my hotel room at noon instead of 11. Now, is it possible? You could also just simply say, can I? Can I check out at noon instead? Can I? But you could use this, is it possible? Is it possible? A little more formal. Yes, at noon, midday. Exactly. Yeah, could I? And can I? Could I sounds a little more formal. Could I check out at noon instead? You might add instead. You don't need to. Instead is optional. You could absolutely just say, could I check out at noon? Now you might also ask, after I check out, here, checkout is a verb, not the noun. After I check out, because the subject does an action, subject, verb. After I check out, can I leave my bags with you until around 8 p.m.? So maybe my flight doesn't leave until midnight or later, 9, 10. So I'm going to tour around, be a tourist from noon until 8. And then I'm going to come back to the hotel, get my bags, and then go to the airport or the train station from the hotel. And hotels often will do this, of course. So after I check out, can I leave my bags with you until around 8 p.m. Now, often native speakers will do this. I'll say with you, meaning the person I'm talking to. But of course, I mean, can I leave my bags with the hotel or at the hotel? But I'm just using you. Now, you could say, can I store my bags? You can say that as well, but it's very common to just use leave. After I check out, can I leave my bags with you until around 8 p.m.? So around means I might be a little bit before, I might be a little bit after.
Amazing job in this masterclass. Do you want to keep improving your speaking? If you do, put yes, 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 put yes, yes, yes in the comments. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Watch it now.